Owe me money! Sucker!
Huh? Huh?
Useless ass shit.
Here, suck on this. Bonsai!
Holy fucking! For God's sakes, get it on ice! Get the fucking thing on ice!
Over here! Ah, shit! Quick! Take it to the free clinic on 4th Street.
All right. Coming at you all the way live.
I want most things I do in my life to start with that video.
I'm scared. I was scared that we were going to get pulled from Facebook, and I was going to get all these messages like, what are you doing?
What the fuck is that? You know what's funny about that? I'm so glad that she played like the whole thing. You know what I mean? Because it's like it's like what? It's shocking, then it gets funny, then it gets awkward, then it gets funny again. Cause
because you're like, wait, did that guy just cut off his?
Imagine being the guy with the shot list that goes, okay, now we have to get the under aerial dick shot. You know what I
mean? So my mom, who I hope is watching this, I was about 12 years old, and she came in my room before I went to school. And I think I like stayed home from school. And she goes, I saw this movie and I didn't think it was real. So I started to record it. You have to see it. It's called Street Trash. I didn't think it was real. And she gives me this cassette that she recorded, and I watched it. And I remember that scene, and I was like, maybe I have the coolest mom in the world, or maybe I should call CPS.
Either way, it's a ride right now. You're like,
I was like,
but knowing that story tells me so much about you now. You know what I mean? I'm like, all right, makes sense. You know, it's just like, yeah, that's Jason for sure.
This the guy's playing keep away with another man's penis. That movie is called Street Trash. For those of you who don't know, today we're going to talk about horror movies. It's Halloween's coming up, and I'm kind of sad because we're in the year of coronavirus lockdown, and my 2-year-old son, who now is kind of cognizant of things and can go trick-or-treating, can't go trick-or-treating now, and it's the way of the world is rather depressing.
Yeah.
I often talk about the homeless encampment that's right next to me in the Soundwave Studios. But there's no homeless encampment where I stay with my girlfriend and my son, but there was a guy literally sleeping in his car right behind my car in the driveway, like to the point where I had to like get around him, and that's kind of like where we are.
Yeah,
because motherfuckers are losing their jobs.
for sure.
Wes and I both are musicians. Wes is sorry, I didn't even. I'm such a shitty host. This is my good friend and fellow musician, Wes Fareas, singer, guitar player for the band N.A.M.E.
Hello.
N.A.M.E stands for.
You asked me the new Martyrs Expressions.
Yeah. I've known you since the first Obama term.
Yeah. I mean, I was trying to think about that.
No. I think the end of Bush.
Yeah, end of W, because it's been a while.
Yeah, I've known Wes and his brother. He plays with his younger brother. We've definitely toured together. I've tour managed Wes's band. What else? I played shows with Wes.
Yeah, we've done
lived with Wes for a time.
Yeah.
That being said, thank you. Welcome.
Thanks.
He's wearing a Poltergeist shirt. I don't know if he's wearing it in honor. I doubt it. I'm sure he's just wearing it because.
Actually, I totally just realized I just top of the stack. But you know what? I thought about it too. I was like, fuck, because what we're talking about, I have this old school I just like rare thing that we got. I got with my boy Johnny like a year last year. Old Killer Clowns from Outer Space shirt. And
no shit.
I was like, fuck, I should have worn that, but I wasn't even recognizing that I was wearing Poltergeist.
I was gonna do a horror movie shirt thing, and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna wear this one because
you want to show them titties,
basically. It's Palestine. Yeah. But tonight I wanted to go through not just horror movies that we like, but horror movies that we like that a lot of people don't like. And there's kind of these horror movie standards that people are like, okay, well, you have to like this, but you can't like that. Mm-hmm. Like you can like the first Jason, but you can't like the fifth one. Or
yeah. You know what's funny is that it was such a convoluted thing at the time when these movies came out, and then now there's so many purists in that we're like, you can only like the first two. If you like that one, it's like at the time no one gave a shit. You know what I mean? It was just like you like what you like, but then now it's kind of the backhanded part of how the culture is accepted horror films now. It's like there's cons, you know what I mean? There's subcultures within this about these movies, and now some are like we only praise, you know, these first three movies or this one movie or this original director, and the rest of it fucking trash. You know what I mean? So it's interesting to see how people draw that line in the sand now when it's like, don't you think it's kind of forced? You can like what you like, because we were talking about it last night. Like I'm like, I like was it Halloween 6 with Paul Rudd? You know, the Christmas. I like that one. You know what I mean? It's like so people could be like, man, fuck you. You know what I mean? So
I hold on, let me get this set up. I also have to get some of these clips set up as well.
Yeah.
And I'm not very good on the producing end by myself. So being a 43-year-old man and child of the 80s, I definitely grew up watching a lot of mediocre horror. I told you the story of my mom giving me street trash. She also worked nights.
Out of context, by the way,
yes.
That sentence would have been amazing. Remember my mom giving me street trash. Like, damn, it's cool.
This poor woman is being. I hope she's asleep. Hope this is the one episode she's not watching, because I'm gonna have to hear it. You told everybody I made you watch street trash. I didn't make you watch anything.
Sorry, Mama.
Well, look, Mom, you are an amazing woman. Phenomenal, some might say. I'm also a fan of so me and Wes both play heavy music. We're both metal guys, and there was this thing called the Satanic Panic in the 80s where everybody was going to hell for listening to metal. And if you've ever seen the documentary Decline of a Western Civilization, one of my favorite parts is the 666.
Oh,
It's the
man.
number of the beast. We demetal the children.
Yes. God, I would love to go to one of those. I'd pay him so much money to do that.
You say that now. That's fucking that's QAnon now. Go to a QAnon rally.
Totally.
That's what I actually had a guy named Robbie Martin on my show. I don't know if you know the Martins. I feel like you would know them because they're from your neck of the woods. Abby Martin and Robbie Martin.
Maybe.
The Martin boys.
That Martin boys.
The Martin boys from Pleasanton. Anyway, Robbie did a whole thing on QAnon. He did like a whole history on QAnon.
Oh, wow.
And when we were having the conversation, it kind of reminded me of, because he brought up the satanic panic of the 80s. And what that reminded me of was the child molestation. I don't want to say craze, because that's what a horrible thing to be. That's like, it's like the hula hoop.
Jeez, yeah. I don't know. What's the right?
I don't, the thing that
the wave of
the shit wave of people getting kind of drawn into these horrible accusations, especially where you're at in the Central Valley. There was a horrible case of it in the Central Valley where, like, I want to say there's even a whole documentary about it. Sean Penn narrates it, and that gives it validity. I want to say in the early 80s, maybe like 10 people, like 3 or 4 families, got caught up in like bullshit accusations, like, and then he took me into the dungeon under the liquor store and they sacrificed a goat, and these people were like going to jail for this shit. Like, kids just kind of just making shit up willy-nilly.
Yeah.
But anyway, in the midst of all that, a couple things happened that's sad and cool. Judas Priest went to trial, and through that trial, we got these great movies where someone plays a metal record backwards and a demon comes out.
Yeah.
And the best one of those, in my opinion, is Trick or Treat, because when he plays the record forward, it sounds like the record's being played backwards. So when he plays it backwards, it's not like zero, it's like you have to kill your friends, Skippy Handelman.
Totally.
So, Trick or Treat stars also Skippy Handelman, who some of us might know as Skippy Handelman. I'm sure he has a real name, but for all intents and purposes, his name is fucking Skippy Handelman to me.
Skippy.
And yeah, Skippy was Mallory's love. He loved Mallory from Family Ties. So if you watch Family Ties, you will recognize this man. And he is a headbanger in this movie, which back in the day was like, is that how they treated emo kids? Would you like compare that?
I mean, I think that's what that craze was. You know what I mean? It's kind of the same thing. When you were like Hesher metal dudes, it became the swoopy haired emo kids with pants. You know what I mean? It was the same fucking thing. It's always been something like that. Just like, actually, even more so like the goth craze, I think, at the time when these kids were part of the, the New Order, Cure Wave and stuff like that, and like Bauhaus and shit. They're all just like, it was just the same thing. Just instead of hair going up in black, it was down in black. You know what I mean?
Would you call the movie Vamp with Grace Jones a goth horror movie?
You know what? That's hard because it's not scary, but it's within the realm of, you know what I mean, of horror icon. So I don't know. It's hard. There's certain movies like that. Like, you know what I mean? When I think horror, I'm not thinking like Vampire in Brooklyn. You know what I mean?
You should. That's a fucking great film.
It's a great film, but it's for sure not my go-to. I'm like, yo.
I've been falling down a weird rabbit hole because I also have these small children around me at all times. I just keep reproducing. Pull-out game is trash. It's trash. Trash
for sure.
Trashy pull-out game. And so I gotta try to like watch kid-friendly horror, but this might not be so kid-friendly, but this is Trick or Treat from 1986. That's the most emo shower ever, by the way.
Totally, for sure.
And I've never taken a shower in high school.
You never went at high school?
I mean, I took showers while I was going to high school, but not at the high school.
Yeah, I figured like 4 years, not one.
Not one. Because I didn't want anyone stealing my shampoo.
Oh, good smooth move right there. Shirt
Johnny
open.
Herrera Jr. says he absolutely loves this movie. Johnny Herrera, fuck yeah.
That's my
Oh yeah, ball bag to the floor. Oh
yeah, look at that shot. Oh
yeah, and you
Polaroid
brought a
ready.
whole fucking Polaroid to school
ready.
just to get Skippy's ball bag. Aw, is it cute?
Sometimes, it's actually kind of a lot lately. I think about some pretty radical things. I mean, I've got thoughts in my head that nobody but you would understand.
That's enough, Skippy. Writing your fucking emo letter to your
Showers and
Can you imagine like one of us sitting there as kids going, "Dear David Lee Roth, Vince Neil, every time I get pantsed in junior high, I think about smoking in the boys' room."
yeah. I too feel like I'm running with the devil.
What? As much as I love metal, I can't think of going to one of my metal icons in the 80s who were writing about either like war and death or cocaine and hookers.
Dude, we should write a movie called that. War and death and cocaine and hookers.
Or war, death, cocaine, hookers.
War, death, cocaine, only in IMAX.
What I loved about that movie, I don't know if you remember when it starts off, I was trying to get the opening shot. It pans to his record collection, and he's got "Killing Is My Business" and "Business Is Good," that original vinyl. Yeah. You know, this is the 80s, so he's got vinyl. And for those that are watching, I think a lot of cats are metalheads, and let me know. I want to know in the chat how you guys feel about this. Can you see the chat, Wes?
Yeah.
Okay. When I first heard last words.
Sorry. I'm reading the Ralph Macchio comment right here. I was like, yo, maybe second to Crew Jones from Rad.
It's the most emo ever.
Wow. I was like, damn, Crew Jones from Rad. Holy shit.
It gets deep on the chat, bruh.
Some good
The fucking chat gets deep.
Some good cuts right now, for real.
The I Love You to Death. The opening, Good Morning. No, Good Morning, but I Love You to Death. That first song on Killing Is My Business.
Yeah.
That and Dave's doing that weird tapping shit.
Yeah.
That to me sounded like the most frightening shit ever.
Totally.
Like I felt like that between that and that crazy album cover that he hates. I think that album cover looks like a madman's basement.
Totally.
And so that bad recording, and then that I was like, I think I'm going to hell. And then that record took me to hell more so than like anything Slayer wrote.
Totally. Dude, you know what's funny? I was thinking some earlier is that we're talking about how there's a lot of movies in the 80s that they're like, metal was related to horror culture.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it was the iconography of it, but not so much like music directly influencing these movies. Because when I think like horror music, I think of people like John Carpenter.
Yes.
Which is not metal, you know what I mean? So I hear like creepy synths and I'm like, ooh, this is gonna be good, you know what I mean? I'm all about the weird sounds and shit like that. If you really think about the ominous noises, even just like sometimes, especially early 80s B shit, was just like 2 notes on a Casio keyboard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that was more iconic than someone like, on the devil, you know what I mean? So it's so funny that became so synonymous with the culture. You know what I mean? Like, it was like synth was the direct product, was like the soil in which this shit grew. But then what grew from that was a bunch of metal dudes that are like, yeah,
with Fastway doing the fucking sound.
So when I think
Gene
of like,
Simmons.
yeah, totally.
Gene
So
Simmons is in that movie.
Scary shit. I'm picturing like John Carpenter in a turtleneck staring into a camera with a keyboard. Like that's scarier to me than like, yeah, Satan. You know, that's just yeah. I could be biased, you know. But
no, dude. Think back to The Gate. Like, I was gonna put The Gate on here, but I think for a lot of people, they like love The Gate.
Yeah, yeah.
The Gate was kind of, I think, a little more mainstream than Trick or Treat. And they made a sequel to the fucking Gate, which I didn't know they made a sequel to The Gate, but thanks to the odious Jeff Bezos and Amazon and Prime, I sat there and watched The Gate fucking 2 and then hated myself and then cried a little bit. The kid with the glasses lived. He's still here. Another movie that I love that a lot of people don't love, and I don't know if you feel the same way, is Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
You don't love that?
I do love.
Oh, I do too.
You love 2?
Oh, I love 2. I've always loved 2. Always.
I watched that like 7-hour documentary on all the Nightmare on Elm Streets, and I didn't know about the homosexual undertones from the writer to the actor.
Oh, I don't remember that.
So the writer of 2 put in the subtext that Freddy, this is all kind of, subtext, is the kid's coming to grips with his homosexuality. And he's trying to, because remember there's a scene where like his girlfriend wants to bang and he's like, I got to go to my boy's house. And I'm like, you're doing high school all wrong.
I remember that,
And so I didn't, and then there's a scene where the PE coach gets killed with like the towel slapping his ass.
Totally. Some of the best kills are in that one for sure too. Between 1 and 2 had some such good kills.
One was very, to me, unnerved. Like, I was very disturbed because I watched that as a child. There's a few movies I watched as a child that just, Hellraiser as a child disturbed the fuck out of me.
I loved Hellraiser as a kid, and it took me into my 30s to go back and watch and then go, fuck, I watched this as a fucking kid. You know what I mean? I was like, yo, it's fucked up. It's so good, though. It's still, I think, especially Hellraiser is one, it's still a good film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like the content is like, you were one of a kind at the time. You know what I mean? It makes something so like mainstream horror, but it's like deep in the recesses of hell and demonology and shit. You're like, God damn, what the fuck? You know what I mean? It's so good. I love 2 as well. All the Cenobites for number 2 were tight. I always wanted to be for Halloween the dude with the CDs. You shot the CDs. I wanted to be that when I was a kid. I was like, yeah, but like no one's gonna get it. They're just gonna close the door on me when I want candy.
There's a doc on Nightmare 2 on Shudder called Scream Queen. Yes, and I watched the shit out of that. Your brother says Jesus wept.
We do that to each other sometimes when things are just quiet. We're like, Jesus wept.
Frisco says he's 46 and he still can't watch Hellraiser. Phantasm 2. I got into Phantasm just for I remember watching Phantasm on regular TV because again, mom worked late, so it's just me in this little shitty apartment, fucking with the cable. Remember the cable box? We had to turn the little black knob. It had the little black box. Yeah. And your parents knew he was watching porn because you just or Cinemax between the squiggly lines because he was back. They're like, I know you watching Cinemax. You turned it to 20 and Cinemax is 21. Trying to see what is, I don't know if it's a leg or a titty, but whatever it is, it's cool.
Yes, leg titty.
So I'm gonna play a clip from Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Also, after I play this clip, I want Wes and Jeremy and whoever else is a metal person to rate Mark. I can't think of his last name. His name is Mark something. His scream. It is blood fucking curdling.
Okay, good. I think Johnny's on the chat too because I want to get Johnny's opinion. He's good with this shit.
His scream is fucking frightening as hell. So let me get in here to this thing. Where is it at? Where is it at? I always remember to share audio so you don't just hear us farting around.
Yeah, right. Just us talking about a clip. That's what you should do. Have people watch us watching the clip, but they can't hear it or see it. We're like, do you remember that? God, that was so good.
A reaction shit. So here it goes. Here it goes. Everybody, here it goes.
You've got the body. I've got the brain.
Scared the shit out of me as a kid.
Hold me, baby, drive me crazy, touch me all night long, make me love you.
Jesse, get out.
Apparently the dad is gay in real life as well. Oh, here it is.
Brady? What? It's starting to happen again. Jesus. Hey, man. What the fuck's wrong with you, dude?
We should have known something was up with that big ass Lamal poster on his wall from fucking Kajagoogoo. He didn't even have a Kajagoogoo poster. It's Lamal.
Rant and rave right there.
Oh, right there would have been a bowel movement.
Brutal.
Run! Run! What is it? Run! Open your door! Ryan, it's your father! Open this door! No! 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 Run! Run! Open it up! Run!
The ruined pool party.
I remember this shit. That was so weird.
She goes from scream to freestyle dance music. Hard for me to take it seriously.
Just tell us what you
Was
want,
this
right?
the other day? The choking tears I feel, but bruh, I'm laughing in 3 languages.
Yourself, you fucker!
Oh, shit.
Okay, that's enough, Freddie.
Damn, that room scene, that's brutal.
Yeah.
Scary. That is a scary scene.
There's another movie. I don't know if you watched. So for those new to this show, this is Revolution Podcast. It's very a show for the left. It's like usually I have professors and authors on and we talk about shit that not a lot of people talk about in mainstream media. But one day I went down a rabbit hole and I was like, there's movies that I've seen that I felt that the context was one of like an anti-capitalism context. They Live.
Yeah.
Right? I think there's more memes from that movie over the last 4 years than anything else I've seen.
Totally. Do you remember when you see when Roddy Piper posted on his Twitter like a year before he died? We were going through hard political shit then, and he posted, he just said, honest thing is They Live as a documentary. That's all you posted. I was like, rowdy.
There's a movie. So They Live. We both love They Live. I think most people watching would say They Live is. I mean, when you watch it the first time, you're like, but now knowing what we know now, you watch They Live, you're like, holy shit.
It has a good replay value and has lasting content and message, and you know what I mean. It's entertaining. It fulfills the campiness you'd want to see it as something in the 80s. But still one of the greatest scenes ever, devoid of genre to me, is the fight with him and Keith David, dude. It's so good.
So have you seen the documentary about that?
Yes. Yeah. Dude, we're just hearing rumors of when they were like, oh yeah, these guys were like really hitting each other and this was going on here. I was like, what? So finding out even just about that shit was so good.
It's such an epic fight scene because when you think it's over, you're like, y'all motherfuckers is still going?
Totally. You go, but they were like convincing, tired as fuck. You know what I mean? Just like it's like I've fucking been there, man.
Yeah, but you know what? That's what makes me sad about Roddy Piper's career, because that movie being a flop, right? A commercial flop. And you know, of course he passed away, I think, before it really, really caught on. Like, think about a remake of that movie. I feel like you can't do it without those two guys.
No, not at all. And you know, it have to be like a resurgent type of thing with these characters. Just putting the same content in new skin, new hands would just be lazy, I think. And like if you try to reboot it, would be a waste. And I think it would be, what was nice about They Live was the subtlety about it. It was something that people generally said. Right now, I actually think it would be a bad time to release it. Only it'd be so extreme in the message. There wouldn't be any subtlety. You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
It was, so at the time, it was just like, yeah, that is, wow, you're opening my head. But now if you saw it for the first time, you go, yeah, I knew that shit already. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, so it doesn't have the same effect, only unless you had these two characters that came back to see what has happened since then. Like, kind of like we lost the war kind of thing. You know what I mean? So,
that would actually, to me, that would be actually more interesting.
Yeah.
To do it as a sequel.
Yeah, continuation of that story, to kind of be like, this is what happened 30-something years later, and we lost. We lost this whole battle for humanity. You know what I mean? It's just like this underground battle thing. It's, you know what I mean? It's like, it's a trip to me. That, you know, I always joked about it. I was like, that's that movie. Remember that movie Daybreak?
Yes.
Yeah. So I was like, this is just a movie if Blade failed. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? And so when all the vampires, some of them are like, I'm fucking sick of being a vampire, dog. It's like, yeah, because Blade retired hell long ago, you know? So it's just so it's just kind of what happened. I mean, you know, Ramiro kind of did that too when he did like Land of the Dead. and Diary of the Dead. This is, especially Land of the Dead, was like, we fucking done lost this shit. You know what I mean? Now we got a big ass like Trump Tower with Dennis Hopper playing a Trump character. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, what was that? Who was I talking to? We were talking about something. I was talking to we were talking about a horror movie, and it was I can't remember that, man. I was talking to somebody, and he kind of I was talking to Professor Torrey Reed, Dr. Torrey Reed. And he wrote a really good book called Towards Freedom. Anyway, we were talking about Risky Business.
Oh, good movie.
And he said Risky Business was like a Reagan era lesson about neoliberalism and capitalism.
What?
Because at the end of the movie, the hooker, Rebecca De Mornay, I think is the hooker in that movie, has to go back to whatever the fuck her life was, and the kid goes to Princeton. Like it's like a class story, right?
Never thought of it that way. Risky Business.
Your father just chimed in.
What up, Pop? I thought so much. I'm cruising his chonies, dancing.
Right. So trip off this, like how? So this, you got this movie with this really powerful message that gets reduced to the choni scene, as you talk about, and then it got remade as The Girl Next Door in the early 2000s. That was the remake of Risky Business, and it's like a happy tale.
Totally.
And you take out all that the darkness of this story. That being said, there is a horror movie that is about class that a lot of people didn't watch. Society.
I don't know if I saw that.
Society is this little known film that came out in like 89, 90. And it's about this kid that doesn't feel like he fits in with his very rich parents in Beverly Hills. And all the cliches of 80s movies, right? And basically his rich family, they feed off of poor people.
Wow.
And the movie ends with this great big fucking orgy they have. But as they're having this orgy of gluttony, they meld into one amorphous blob.
Like Station from Bill and Ted 2? Or like that thing from The Mouth of Madness. Like all those things.
Kind of. Here, let's just see. For whatever reason, I'm getting to play all these clips, so please nobody get this stream taken down, because I'm sure someone will soon, because I probably shouldn't be playing half of the shit that I'm playing right now. Let me make sure I have the audio up, because this is pretty funny. This I hope everyone enjoys what we're doing here tonight, because this is a lot of fun.
I'm having fun right now about this
forever. So watch this scene. So basically, this kid's dad calls him butthead all the time, and watch what happens.
That's so 80s. Butthead. The anticipation is killing me. Are you playing it?
Can you see this?
No.
Oh, you can't see it?
No, I'm just watching you.
Oh, sorry. I forgot to do this.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
I'm so bad at what I do. So this is just like rich people having this great big fucking orgy, feeding off like poor people. And I was hoping to find the scene where the kid walks in on his dad, and his dad's face is coming out of his mom's ass. Society.
Right.
Billy on the half shell. Billy.
So glad I looked up for making dinner.
Oh, well. What happened? You gonna rescue the young maiden, Billy?
Right, something like that. You and me, man to man. Well.
Poor man's Emilio Estevez right there.
I love it. You gotta save the girl. That's so cute.
Billy, don't! You only make it worse!
Shut up, Clarissa. Jim, Nan, where the hell are you?
That kid was in a karate movie.
Yes.
What karate movie?
I don't know.
Was he
It's
in?
driving me fucking nuts.
Anyone that knows what karate movie this kid was in, you have to let us know.
Yeah.
Oh.
That dude's face says everything I'm feeling right now. Ooh.
Pull myself together. The beauty mark.
You've never seen this movie, Wes?
No.
Dude,
No,
sorry.
I have to.
I apologize.
No,
for
I'm
not showing you that movie.
I know. I'm mad at myself for not having that in my arsenal. Damn.
Oh, sorry, I had to turn that off. Yeah.
New Jack.
So
the other dude was from New Jack City, but not the karate dude.
what movie was that karate guy in?
God, he carried that hair with him though.
I can't remember the fucking movie, but I know it had karate in it somewhere.
I know it had karate.
I know it karate.
Karate.
Dude was in New Jack City?
I don't know.
Who the fuck was he in New Jack City?
Yeah, so I'm going. I don't think it was that guy. I think he was
This is Eyed Wide Shut gone way wrong.
I know the comment section is killing it right now.
This is the best comment section ever, by the way. And I do this shit on debate night. So Society is like it's a trippy film. I actually reached out to the director of that movie. He never returned my email, so I'm hurt. But then I had to go to like my friends that were in Hollywood and be like, "Hey, by chance, do you know?" And then my buddy goes, "Yeah, I actually do know that guy through some people, and I will reach out to him for you." So
wow,
I'm waiting on that.
Speaking of the comment section too, Johnny says he played that in his bar, and I would have loved to have been in there to see people watching that scene. If you're just drinking at a bar and you look over at the TV and see that level of discomfort, makes me so happy to think about. Like
there's so dude. West Fareas story.
Uh-oh.
One night when we all lived together, Wes, me, and the woman he was dating at the time, went to a bar in the Mission, and I couldn't tell you which bar we went to because I don't remember. I don't drink. We didn't even drive, so we do I think we just walked there. Yeah, and I was sitting at a bar with this guy that was kind of odd, and he said he was premiering his movie that he made. And the movie that he made was called The Period.
Oh my God, yeah.
And we sat there kind of like, that's odd. And same kind of reaction, right? Like, this is about a woman with a never-ending period, and you're a weird, giggly man that's obviously a little coked out. This is weird. Fast forward a couple years later, that man directed me and Cindy's first video.
Shut the fuck up.
True story.
What?
True story.
Oh my God. That is
true
a
fucking
weird
story.
Circle completed there.
And that video that he made for us is so bad, YouTube pulled it within the first hour. So it's only on Vimeo. It's called "She's Got to Be a Pirate." I will try to find it and pull it.
I remember the song. I remember. I think I saw the video. I can't.
So much vagina in the video. There's just vaginas everywhere.
Oh, maybe I
bloody vaginas.
So he just stuck to his MO and just ran with it. Like,
hey,
dude,
no,
hey,
I'm the vagina guy. You get me, you get vaginas. They may be in bad shape.
A for fucking consistency, I guess. You know what I mean? I want to see what he's doing 25 years from now. I'd be like, still periods? Got it. Cheers.
Documentaries.
Cheers. I'm making Period 37 now. It's an anthology series. All right.
So we tried to make another video in San Francisco for another song we had that was a little lighter, and he had this idea and he had storyboarded it, and so Cindy had to like stand in the middle of Powell Street as people are walking by, and when you're not famous, people are dicks. So they saw us with the camera. They were just like, "Move out of the way, bitch!" And she's trying to be
trying to be good about it, like
trying to be like, like just like a lilting flower in the concrete jungle. And he's both like, "Who is this goofy bitch you're filming? Homeless heifer."
Oh, man.
But yeah, that is each film is a period piece.
Just Jesse, get out.
for the podcast, I actually have to when I make corny jokes, and I'm a dad and I do it quite often. So another movie, so we got the Dick Toss. Let's get rid of Dick Toss. We did Trick or Treat. Another movie, I want to say I showed this to you. If I haven't showed this to you, then I'm a horrible person. I'm a bad friend. What do you get when you take a ninja movie, The Exorcist, and Flashdance? Exactly. You get Ninja 3, The Domination. I watched this movie as a young child at my Aunt Linda's house because it was on cable. And you know how when you're at families' houses and it's like a family get together and they're just playing TV and then scary shit comes on because it's late. And I don't know if your dad was like this, and he's here so he can admit it if he is like this. My dad like yelled at me if I tried to turn away from the screen. He's like, "Quit being a little punk, boy." So I had to so I'm trying to like watch this very violent ninja get shot and murdered and then possess the girl from Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Wow.
Lucinda Dickey, I think her name is Lucinda Dickey. But let me get this up because it's pretty fucking funny, I think, and it's really awesome. It's called Ninja 3: The Domination, and it literally is about a woman that is a construction worker by day, jazzercise teacher by night, and ninja after all that is said and done. Ninja 3: The Domination. Everyone, you are welcome. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Here we go. And we're going to get this scene right here because you got to watch The Possession. And then that guy. He played every Asian in the 80s.
Every.
He's trying to get the ninja demon out. Oh, wait. And I have to add this. When she gets possessed, they try to make her eyes look more Asian.
Shut the fuck up. Yes.
Not racist at all.
Bring out the appropriation.
Not racist at all. And I think you're going to see it in this scene. So she just hit the bong. So her boyfriend is a cop, and he's mad that she keeps killing people because she gets possessed by a ninja who for some reason just kills random people. Oh, see, here it comes. Look at her eyes. Look at her eyes.
Is he in you?
Yes. He is. And he wants you to stop.
Who are you?
読めてくれ。ああ、おわ、取られた。もしも読めなければ殺すぞ。Oh my
This is a ninja movie, by the way.
You finish it. Get rid of the son of a bitch.
Like, don't forget, we're fucking watching a ninja movie. I'm not lying. It was supposed to be The Exorcist, a ninja movie, and Flashdance all rolled into one.
God, that's so weird.
It's pretty awesome. She yelled turmeric in his face. Oh shit. Oh shit. Pasquale, look who fell into the gig.
That's so good.
Oh
my
that was Nino Right Hand Man. That's who that guy was from the Society. Oh, that makes sense. Golden Child was dark as fuck to me as a kid.
It was, dude, especially the demon thing towards the end. That was fucked up.
Golden Child is my favorite Eddie Murphy movie, and I can watch it every time it comes on TV. And
is it your favorite Eddie Murphy movie?
Boomerang and Golden Child.
Boomerang's good.
I can watch both of those movies like ad nauseum. I watch Boomerang's on Netflix now. And so my son was trying to go to, like, he did that thing where he wakes up in the middle of the night and you can't like wait for him to cry. Like, all right, fuck it. You got to come out.
Yeah.
And I was going to, and he goes, my show. And it means like he wants to watch Netflix Kids. And I was like, well, let me see if there's something like kid friendly.
Blood oatmeal.
So he watched Boomerang and he was hella into Boomerang.
I love Boomerang.
Like he was laughing at the jokes. I'm like, what the fuck are you laughing at? You don't understand what he's saying.
Yeah, you don't get this shit.
Yeah, blood oatmeal. You know what else is in Golden Child? Rat.
Yeah.
Body talk. I need your body talk. I need your body talk.
Dude. Totally.
Here's a question for you before we go to the next horror movie that I'm having way too much fun doing. The Big Four. We had a whole show about the Big Four of hip hop.
Ooh.
And we decided that we couldn't do a Big Four of hip hop because you have to do it by genre and region and era.
That's
just too hard to do.
Hard, yeah.
Who is the Big Four of hair metal?
Motley Crue.
Okay.
I think they kind of sit at the top. If you really, because they kind of transcended that by being they were the only bands that made it out of there alive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're kind of like Deftones to the new metal at the time. You know what I mean? Only band like made it out of 100 bands, kind of.
There's a movie about them.
Hair metal, yeah.
I want the greatest scene ever.
Think who else? I mean, it's so hard because I'm so in. Def Leppard was huge at the time. It's hard to say whether or not they're like that.
But do you call them hair metal? And chime in. Everybody listening right now can fucking chime in. If you guys aren't chiming in on this, I'm gonna be mad as fuck because Pasquale's here, Fisk is here, Jesse is a beast.
If you
your dad can chime in on this.
This is so hard because
can I tell you my four?
Yes, please.
I'll tell you my four and you tell me what you think.
Okay.
Motley.
Yeah.
Dokken.
Ooh, good one.
I put Rat on there.
I love Rat. I don't know if I consider them a top though, but I love Rat.
I put Rat on that list. And I think you may not like their catalog, but as far as influence, because when we think about the Big Four, when you say those four bands, those were the big bands of that era. Even if you don't agree with the cat, even if you think, I think
that's why
Exodus was heavier, Testament was heavier. Yeah.
I agree.
But those were the dudes. I say you got to put Poison on there.
Poison was one of them I was going to name. If you think Poison, Brett Michaels, that whole thing, him and Dee, like that was very big hair metal thing. Whitesnake was a big one for me because I always loved David Coverdale. I think David Coverdale set the fucking tone for like a good frontman, and his hair was fucking pow. So White Snake, I love White Snake. Rat, I want to put on the list, but I'm trying to take out the fact that I love their catalog. But do I see them as that? Because and I'm biased because one of the first riffs I ever learned how to play, probably the first riff ever, was Round and Round by Rat. And
no shit.
And I thought I was the shit when I learned how to play that shit.
Oh, dude, Warren DeMartini is a beast.
Yeah, dude.
Beast.
Dude,
I don't put Van Halen on that list.
It's so good. The Switch solo is fucking top notch.
I don't put Van Halen on that list because I look at Van Halen as like proto hair metal. Like they were, if there was a guide to follow, I think they followed the guide wrong.
I mean, same with Guns N' Roses. They started in the hair metal time, and then they kind of went back and became like a rock band. But they started off like.
Oh, Axl was haired out. You know what? Would you put LA Guns on that list?
I put LA Guns quicker on that than I would Guns N' Roses for sure. Like LA Guns, and fucking, I definitely put LA Guns on that because they were more showy. You know what I mean? Like to define the hair metal thing too was about show. So you have to take the kind of the music out of it. You know what I mean? Like Dokken was a good one because they needed to look pretty. Like Europe also just wanted to look pretty at all times.
To me, Europe doesn't have that catalog.
It does. They don't at all. But if you look at damn, you got so many sequence between 5 of you guys. Like way too much glitter. They have enough glitter on them for 2 strip clubs. You know what I mean? And they single-handedly were putting Aquanet through the fucking stock market price. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude.
So
so a lot of people are saying Twisted Sister.
Yeah. Fisher Spooner of hair metal. Nice. D for sure, because he's kind of like a face if you think about hair metal. You know what I mean? I mean, if you also want to think about hair metal, kind of, even though he wasn't really metal, but in that frame, if I think of 80s hair shit, is Bon Jovi. When he started out, he was the big hair kind of thing. And then by end of the second record touring cycle, third record kind of thing, when he became a household name, he was different. He had the big hair, but
he did that Springsteen thing where he was able to find himself into Americana.
Yes.
And I feel like maybe getting rid of Richie Sambora and all that shit. There's no more band with Bon Jovi, in my opinion, even though I think the rest of the guys still play with him.
Yeah. Or most of them.
But I don't see him in the same, maybe it's just me, in the same way that I see the bands that we're naming now, because they never got that big where they were like, you are America, if you will. Like Bon Jovi, he's Bruce Spring, he's the new age Bruce Springsteen.
Totally.
Not new age, but he's like the next Bruce Springsteen. Yeah. White Snake, I don't mind White Snake on that list. I think they had all the trappings of hair metal look wise.
Yeah.
But for me, White Snake, they didn't have the their sound to me was more new wave of British heavy metal heavy with really big production, which I'm sure someone like Pasquale is going to come on here and say, well, isn't that hair metal in a nutshell?
Yeah.
I say, no, it's not, because just because those guys had the big production, there was definitely a fucking sound that they had that I think White Snake, maybe the musicianship in White Snake was just so much better or something. I don't know.
Oh, hands down. I still think David Coverdale has one of the greatest voices of all time.
Yes.
And honestly, even for that time as well, Steve Perry. Journey was huge. I loved Journey. Yeah. I loved Journey back then. It was hard because they came out at a time of the hair metal too, but they existed before that. They were
way before.
Coming out of the prog era.
Mm-hmm.
And they were more accessible, but there's a lot of prog people that liked what they were doing. But they were definitely something different. And then they went into the hair metal thing and they hit the ground running with that shit. I mean, just look at fucking what's his name? Randy Johnson and shit, fucking bleached flat top, like to hear headless bass and just doing like they were all.
I was watching. I have this video thing saved on YouTube because I pay for YouTube, and I saved Toto Hold the Line because it's one of my favorite songs of all time. Yeah. Toto looks like a bunch of dads that got fucked up and were like, play that song, man.
Totally.
And looking at them, I'm like, wow, you were so before MTV was a thing, because you guys are not attractive and you're fat.
Yeah. And now,
which I think is awesome, because I fucking hate working out so I can fit into these pants.
Do you? You know what?
I want to wear baggy cargo pants.
Now, speaking that, there are so many 80s movies outside of horror that had really, really good soundtracks, or at least just a few good like token tracks from 80s bands on there. What are the first ones that come to your mind?
Trick or Treat. Dream Warriors.
Nice.
I went to the theater to see Dream. Let me date myself. I went to the theater to see Dream Warriors. Lied to get in just to hear Dawkins' song. Texas Chainsaw 3. I think Laz Rocket.
Good, yeah.
When you meet Leatherface. Yeah. Had a heavy metal song. Shocker
was the first one that came to my head. Was Shocker. For
Shocker.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Totally.
Pasquale says the riff in the Still of the Night is one of the heaviest riffs ever.
Hands
Don't
down.
at me.
Dude, the whole song. But I that's like karaoke song, man. If I get fucked up enough, I'm like, let's do it. Like, I love that song. Still the night.
Oh no,
the Gallop,
by far.
That Gallop too.
Oh, here's speaking of funny soundtracks. So I'm watching this movie last night, or not last night, 3 nights ago. I'm trying to watch a horror movie every night, and I'm definitely not picking winners. And there's a movie I'm watching. It's from the early 2000s. I can't even remember the name of it. And it's it has this big name star in it, and I can't think of her name. Leaston Meester? Keister Leaston. Not Leighton Meester? I feel you, Fisk. My belly is not what it used to be. What the fuck is anyway, she's some star, and she's pretending to be in a band, and it's like a new metal-y sounding band kind of.
Huh.
And this movie's gotta be like 2004, 2005. And she's doing a horrible job at miming the guitar playing. And so I watched the whole movie just because I want to see who was doing the song. And it ended up being a friend of mine.
Oh, really? You didn't know him?
He didn't even tell us. I
true.
texted this fool at 2 a.m. I haven't talked to him in like 4 years. I texted him at 2 a.m. I was like, hey, I don't even know if this is your number anymore, man. But I'm watching this fucking movie. I screenshotted the fucking picture that says like the band name and his name. I was like, you never told me you did this. He responded, hey, nice to hear from you. And yes.
And yes.
Leighton Meester. Yes, Jules. Leighton Meester. What was Leighton Meester in? Am I saying it right? Leighton. Sorry, Leighton. What was Leighton Meester in? What's a Meester?
What's a Meester?
What's a Meester? I don't know. Does anyone know what this person was in? Someone tell me what this person was in. But they're definitely in this really shitty horror movie. But watch it because my friend's band is playing. They play the main song that she's supposed to be singing in the movie, and at the end of it, then the band is actually playing the song, like the singer's singing it.
You know,
and I'm like, no shit.
I have something to say after this. This just popped.
Gossip Girl.
Gossip Girl.
Yeah,
Gossip.
She's the girl from Gossip Girl. She is the Gossip Girl.
You're thinking about music, like good, like 80s music and fall movie, which simultaneously, this movie, I remember years ago talking about odd movies that like sci-fi or horror. I bring this up sometimes if I'm like at the bar or even at my house or on tour, like talking to people about random shit, and I'll go down a rabbit hole. I'll be to myself a lot until someone's like, hey, did you see that movie in the 80s? Or like, oh, you hear the Marvel film? I'm like, well, let's go down for an hour, So someone, I remember I was talking to this girl and was like, couldn't watch this movie because it still scares me to this day. And I was like, what? Like, she considers it a horror film. When I think about the music, it's fucking Howard the Duck.
Howard?
Yeah. Some chick was like, I'm terrified of Howard the Duck. That's a horror movie in my head. I was like, what? But you were making me think of Leah Thompson and her fucking band. That's just laden.
Oh, that's right. That's because they call him Howard.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Duck. Yeah.
That's just laden with fucking music from her band, but it's just like a bunch of just 80s people. Just
I also, my mother took me to the movies to see Howard the Duck, by the way.
yeah, I remember watching Howard the Duck as a kid and going, like, not batting an eye about it being as weird as it was. I was like, oh, cool. You know what I mean? But I was like,
on a duck.
it's a weird fucking movie. You know what I mean? It's also,
yeah.
It's also funny to know that that's like the first Marvel film ever made.
Was it?
Yes, Howard the Duck was a Marvel cartoon. Was a Marvel comic.
I know it's a did you know L7 is in Serial Mom? I did not know that.
I didn't. Yeah, neither did I. Yeah.
Was movie Drive Through? Yes.
Yes.
Jesse Gale. It was called Drive Through, and it was about this clown at a clown burger place that was killing shitty new metal kids and wiggers. And I hate using the term wigger.
But yeah, but accurate.
I won't. You'll never hear me say it again. Wigger. Last time. Wigger.
But throw it in about 4 times before. Yeah, just
when I do this stuff for hella long, I forget that I'm online, and I dump this audio, and it becomes I make a podcast out of it, and it also goes straight to YouTube, and it becomes like a YouTube show, and I forget sometimes that depending on who I'm talking to, I get really loose.
Totally.
And I forget, and the N-word starts flying out of my mouth.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I'm like, oh shit.
Totally. That was my number one thing that I told I'm glad we got on the phone last night about this. So I could get in my head to be like, I can't just talk to Jay the way I talk to Jay. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Because the way we have a conversation, there's been times where you and I have had conversations at a bar, and then we realize like, we're in public. You know what I mean? And we're like, my bad. You know,
like I'm trying to get like you know, if I want Cornel West on the show, I can't have him looking up like, oh, so you had a whole show about throwing a dick around in the air, huh? I don't know if I could be on a dick throwing show, my brother.
Dick throwing show. Totally.
Phil.
Totally. See, that's the thing, especially with doing like podcast interviews and stuff. Anytime we ever do it, and I always have to prep myself before like album cycles and stuff, because we do a lot of interviews and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I have to be mindful of what I'm saying. Like I want to be comfortable, and I don't want to say the same thing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like sometimes if I find myself, Jeremy, if he's with me, he'll start talking. But sometimes he'll go down the rabbit hole like, yeah, so we did this record. We're really excited about this record. And I go, we can relax. Do we have to find the, you know what I mean? We don't have to,
the comfortable thing where you can start saying shit.
Yeah.
I'm bad at interviews, but I feel you. It's yeah. Oh my goodness. Phoenix, come here. Oh man, I didn't even hear you walk in, you little chocolate boy. This is Phoenix Joaquin. Okay. This is Wes. Can you say hi to Wes? Can you say hi?
Hi. Hi, little one.
Say hi. Black. Who do you see? You see him? What else do you see?
Black.
Black. It is black. Yes. Daddy's black. You're black. Black people on the screen. There's black people commenting. You're in a black world, young man. You live in Oakland. Everything's coming up roses for you right now.
You're nailing it right now.
Tomorrow we go to Idaho. Can I put you down now? I can. Bye. Pumpkin. Show him it's a pumpkin.
Yeah, look at that.
His sister gave him a pumpkin, like an actual pumpkin, a little handheld, like a little small, real pumpkin. Jayla's 22, by the way.
God.
So she gives him a pumpkin, and he thinks it's like a toy, so he takes it with him in the tub. It's like his pumpkin. It's his favorite. So now everything's a damn pumpkin. He wants to point out every goddamn. Oh, I'm sorry, every pumpkin. Pumpkin. Yo, that's the pumpkin on your shirt. You see it on your shirt?
I have a pumpkin right here.
See, what is that, Phoenix?
Pumpkin.
This is pumpkins. I'm gonna put you down because we have to finish this, and there's gonna be some really horrible things on the screen that are gonna scare the bejesus out of you. Are you ready for that, or you don't care? I don't want to get CPS called on me, son.
He's gonna learn at some point. He's got.
You gonna learn today. Well,
one way or another.
You are definitely gonna learn today.
Can I put learn you down? Today?
Feeny Woo, can I put you down? Uh-oh. Thank you. Want to say bye to everybody first? Say bye.
Bye.
See you later. Phoenix is 2. 2. Okay, maybe not. 2 and some change. He's out. He's
It's like,
oh no, now he's watching the show.
deuces.
So
My comment section died.
yeah, so if you shared it on your stream, I won't see those comments.
No, I mean I'm looking at you, but I just the chat.
Yeah. The chat is getting kind of quiet.
Like,
so I will take the time if people are enjoying what they're seeing. Oh, thank you. I like him. If people are enjoying what they're seeing, then please like the show. This is Revolution Podcast. We have some great guests. Avi Chomsky's been on the show. Tomorrow there's going to be a premiere new episode. I have David Griscom from the Michael Brooks Show is going to be on. We talk about him being a redneck and a Marxist. Which was a very fun conversation.
that sounds like it.
Dr. Jack Rasmus is the current episode that's on right now. He gives me a rundown on what he calls the October surprise and gives kind of a brief history on neoliberalism. They're great shows. I have some amazing guests. Gerald Horn came on and gave us kind of an interesting conversation from the Watts riots to what we saw with George Floyd. We had Joshua Kahn Russell, also the Michael Brooks Show, and so many other shows. Harvey K has been on here. So we get really good guests. There's some great guests coming up as well. So like the show, and here, let me give you all the things that you can see it on. Like it here. If you really like it, become a patron, because there's bonus patron stuff where usually when we were in studio, we would just, because we knew there's only a handful of people, we just would talk hella shit and people would just run in the studio and it'd be like a crazy ass show. Also follow us on Instagram. I think that's important for you young people, the Instagrams and the Twitters.
Tweeters.
That being said, another movie that frightened me as a child when I was probably a little bit older than my son was Night of the Comet.
Ooh,
It came out in 1984, and I actually remember watching it at probably around 85, so probably around 7 or 8. And Night of the Comet is scary because, for those of you old enough to remember, there was this big thing called Halley's Comet. So probably like 84.
Yeah.
And Halley,
was it
right? 84? It only happens every 75 years, and people were like, there's all this hype around Halley's Comet, what was going to happen with Halley's Comet. And so this horror movie was made that when Halley's Comet came in, they don't call it Halley's Comet. It was really weird. Either people got turned to dust or they got turned to zombies that eventually got turned into dust.
Yeah.
And they don't really explain the dust or the zombies. But 2 people get left in the world. And they're sisters, and they hate each other. And one sister lives because she banged the guy that she worked with at the movies, and that's always good to know.
That is, I wonder how many times it was an angle for dudes that worked at movie theaters. Like, hey, yeah, man, we hooked up. She survived. Just saying.
I'm letting you know.
I'm just trying to help you out.
This dick's a savior, bitch.
I'm throwing you a life raft here.
So Night of the Comet. Here we go. Let's watch a scene from Night of the Comet. Oh God, I almost got to share the audio, because if not, you guys are gonna kill me. And justifiably.
Oh,
so.
After this, you think of the comment scenes, you should show Stephen King comment scene from Creepshow.
Yes. Here we go. Night of the Comet.
And you.
Did you know that N.A.M.E was in Night of the Comet?
You're not getting the point. I can't have you holding one of my people hostage.
And Adam Carolla also was in Night of...
Adam Carolla as Cyclops.
You're crazy!
I'm not crazy. I just don't give a fuck.
I want that on my tombstone. I'm not crazy. I just don't give a fuck. Amen. Brother.
Just when you thought.
Amen.
So in that scene, they're in a mall, and nothing to me is more 80s than movies that took place in malls. And I thought that was really cool about Stranger Things. I know you watch Stranger Things.
Fuck
If you
yeah.
tell me you don't watch Stranger Things, I will walk to the Central Valley and be like, why?
Fuck yeah.
Why are you being
All
that
about
hipster?
show. I think I love it for so many different reasons than just it being entertaining. Like how many nuances there are and how many like just references there are is so tight. It's such a good show.
There's a reference in there if you peep, and a lot of people didn't peep the last season.
Meteor shit.
They were protesting the mall. Remember there's a mall protest.
Yeah.
Because when malls were being built, they were built way out in suburbs, as we know, right? And they were destroying mom and pop businesses on Main Street.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a push to not build these massive shopping centers because you were going to destroy certain main streets. And here we are so many years later, and you can use a city like Richmond, California, for example, where Hilltop Mall gets built. It destroys the downtown area, which was already kind of declining.
Mm-hmm.
Now Hilltop Mall goes the way of most malls right now, because at the end of the day, there were ways for really, really rich people to park cash. Mm-hmm. And you've destroyed not only that suburban area, but also the downtown area, and malls are shitty. And that was kind of this subtext of
totally, and see, that's now you're putting a concept in my head too, realizing that some of the best movies always have that underlining concept of like the powers that be kind of taking away, like Goonies, the entire movie fueled off that. Goonies fueled off of that. A big one.
It's about gentrification.
Yeah, you know what I mean? That's what it was. And it was just like, want to gentrify? And they're like, no, we're going to go find a power couple. So it's like, that's what Goonies was about. And also a big one was Poltergeist. Is that more houses, stores. He's like, look at shopping mall and this, and he's on that hill. So this motherfucker, I'm just going to move all these houses on the graveyard. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because of the shit. So same thing. It's just kind of like protecting your land and your home, your family. And it's always like these middle-class families, lower class families, that it's these suits come in and take that away. And it's interesting how that subtle message is timeless. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter from the 80s to now. Yeah. It's as prevalent then now as it was then. And
what's really, to your point, I think when you look at movies that are, they're always going to be a reflection of society.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we were with the middle class society. Like there's a great scene in Poltergeist, go rewatch it, where he's reading Reagan's book.
Yeah. Yeah. That's key.
And
oh yeah, finish your point.
So good. No. And then you fast forward to now, and you have these like really good, I think they're good, Jordan Peele movies like Us.
Totally. I love that.
And Get Out, where this is kind of the new horror, right? Are these realities and that we don't want to deal with, and I'm excited and scared to see what comes out of what we get after Corona.
Totally. I mean, they're already starting to cap it, like there's shows coming out and stuff of like love during quarantine, and I was kind of I'm like, okay, and it's an easy setup for horror, especially B horror,
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, COVID, it disappears, but you come back as a mutated being. I'm like, that's got like trauma written all over it. You know what I mean? Like just something stupid and easy. It's easy. It's low hanging fruit for sure. But I'm still going to watch it. You know what I mean? Like I
didn't put Outbreak on this list, and Outbreak scared the shit out of me. I went to the movies to see Outbreak in high school. And scared
I loved Outbreak, man.
That scared the bejesus out of me.
Totally.
Life Force scared me too. Jesse Gale. Yeah. Life Force. As a little kid, Life Force scared me. Chud is a gentrification film. Is it? Because if it is, I believe you.
I believe you.
I still think Falcon and Winter Soldier is going to be about a virus. That would suck.
Dude, God, that would be too on the nose, but they're probably like, oh, fuck,
That would hella suck, dude. If that was the case, that would suck.
So much. Oh, actually, one random thing. Going back, before you're talking about that Scream, that dude from that thing. Scariest in the movie for me was Craig T. Nelson's Scream in Poltergeist, when he's like,
"Oh,
move." He's like, "You moved the headstones, but you kept the bodies." Like, That whole scene was like, why, screaming. I got goosebumps right now. Every time he shakes it and screams at, I just go and just melt into fear and just, I'm so uncomfortable. That always gets me. Fucking Craig T. Nelson, my guy. Scared the fuck out of me. Coach, stop scaring me.
Did you like, because there's a lot of movies that are like kind of cult movies that everybody kind of digs. There was one movie that I saw that is kind of called for being the end of the slasher movies, Silent Night, Deadly Night. Do you remember
I remember that movie. Yeah. I mean, it was another one in to throw in the pile for me. Like it had its moments, but I'm trying to think of like, you think that was kind of towards the end of the slasher era kind of thing?
Well, remember there was like two. So you have like the 84 slasher with the end of that era, and that's also when Jason, what is it called? What's the one where Corey Feldman kills him?
Oh shit.
What's it called?
Johnny, I know you got this one, man. Johnny's in the comments still. I know you got this one. Which one was that one?
Yeah, Outbreak is a little too fresh. I feel you.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah. Well, anyway, another movie that people don't like is to that point, Halloween 3. There's a really great documentary. I think it's called something about darkness. I can't remember what it's called. And Final Chapter. So yeah, they were trying to kill. Oh, sorry. They were trying to kill off Jason.
Mm-hmm.
The Final Chapter, because it just got too oversaturated with all these slasher movies, right?
Yeah.
And then Silent Night, Deadly Night was the one because they caught a lot of heat for that because Santa Claus was the killer, if you will. And Santa Claus like raped the kid's mom.
Yeah, pretty rough.
And so then it gets a resurgence, and that's when they start doing things like Part 5, where I guess originally Tommy was supposed to be the killer.
Yeah.
He was supposed to take over Jason. And
yeah, I do.
He's in 3 of the movies, and he never did. I ended up writing it out.
The situation because they had like someone who was going to be playing
In Search of Darkness. Thank you, Johnny.
Jason, but it was going to be I think the guy who was playing him, like his contract was that kind of thing. And so I remember they had a conversation about like, should we just do new body type and stuff like that? But then it
was going to be like new Jasons every time.
Yeah,
and
then they had Kane Hodder was the longest running one.
Yeah, Kane's been Jason for probably since that one. And so the kid's dad, remember they kill the fat kid and was like, "There's a chocolate boy," and then they kill that kid's dad, or that kid's dad becomes Jason.
Yeah.
And so the thing was going to be Jason was going to be different people, and then you have Halloween. Apparently, Carpenter didn't want to do a sequel to it because he felt like he kind of ended everything there.
Mm-hmm.
And so the second one is very similar to the first one.
Yes.
So for the third, he was like, I want to do something totally different, but we'll do it under the moniker of Halloween, but it'll happen in the same universe. And I don't think we're as well versed with that in 1983 like we are in 2020, because Marvel has shown us when things happen in a universe, we dig it.
Yeah.
And we want all of it.
Yeah, it was a leap of faith to see whether something like that would work, but it's really easy to oversaturate something and then just go, it's convoluted and shit. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, I think that.
And see,
yeah.
Said,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's like that being said too. Like that's what's making horror so scarce now, because it's like either you get the B movies here and you kind of they throw them on Netflix or Shudder or something like that, and it's just like a hash to what we've loved, and so you watch it. Mm-hmm. But when I watch these movies, I'm expecting to not really be scared, but but I watch it like, oh shit. I was the most recent one. The last time I had a reaction like that, like, oh shit, this is good, like classic kind of feel. It was Terrorizer, right?
Oh, is it the one with the clown?
Yeah. That I was like, this is the most reminiscent to like 80s B shit, where like over the top.
Yeah, it was very over the top. It was a little too. Yeah,
You know,
it was a little too over the top for me.
Not, you know what I mean? Like he's crazy human, but he always survives for some reason, some kind of maybe ethereal kind of thing. So that was the most recent I'd seen in a handful of years that I was like, this is the closest thing I've seen to anything.
Did you watch Spirals, or did anybody here watch Spirals on Shudder?
No, wait, no.
Whoa. Spirals, I would say, kind of like a Get Out, but instead of there is a black guy in it, but it's gay guys. It's two gay guys, and they move to this town in the suburbs from the city, and weird shit starts happening, and it was very unsettling to watch. Not super gory, just very unsettling. Very unsettling.
Okay, I gotta check that out. Thing is, I should probably get Shudder. I don't have Shudder.
I'll give you my password.
Oh, damn.
I'm about to lose all my money, so I'll give everybody the password. So you better watch. You have like 4 days to watch all these movies.
Yeah, shit out do a live stream for like 4 days straight, and we'll just pound through it.
That's what we should have did. We should just like, oh, let's take advantage of Jason's Shudder and like everybody watch it so they lose money because fuck Amazon.
Can you name any newer horror films that you've seen that even
I watched one Spirals I thought was good. I watched something last night and I was actually jumping and I can't remember the name of it. Revenge is technically a horror movie. It came out in 2017. It's on Shudder. There are these movies that I want to say these French guys are making. They're very, very like beautiful to watch. So the Color of Space one, Revenge, Color of Space. They did
Color Space.
Mandy
I haven't seen Mandy yet. That's on my list. So is Color Space. So
yeah, they're real gorgeous. Like they make. What does Dad say? How do you feel about movies with clowns? Your boy Jesse says Color of Space might be his new favorite horror movie right now. I think Color of Space, like a lot of their movies that these guys are doing are real trippy.
Yeah. You know what you remind me of?
Go ahead.
Have you seen Annihilation?
Who's in it?
Natalie Portman, Oscar Isaac.
The Void is great.
The Void is amazing.
No.
Oh my god. So it's fucking god damn it. What the fuck is his name? Son of a bitch. He did Arrival. He has a new show Devs that's on right now. Why can't I remember his goddamn name? But he did Annihilation.
It's a new movie?
Yeah,
newer.
No, Annihilation came out a few years, 2-3 years ago. But you remember
newer.
Did you see the Southbound was fucking tight.
I haven't seen, the movie Southbound?
Yeah.
That was a good movie.
It's like a like small
Alex Garland. Yeah, Alex Garland. I know that. Yeah.
Okay, so Garland did that. It's beautiful. It's supposed to be sci-fi, but it's scary as shit. But it's beautifully shot, and it's really trippy. The concept is such a trip. But yeah,
I thought Ex Machina was scary.
And also, say it again.
Ex Machina.
Totally, Garland does some weird shit that's scary for sure.
That frightened the hell out of me. And it's
not supposed to even be a horror film, but I'm like, he's unintentionally creating these horror thrillers. But they're beautiful.
What's scarier than the premise of that movie?
Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
If that's not frightening America, then that's why
it's
we're
like
where we are
if you
now.
mix like Skynet and white women. Do you get Ex Machina?
The crocodile in Annihilation. Fuck.
Crocodile. There's like a bear thing in it. Watch Annihilation. It's great. It's. I think it's a gorgeous movie. But that's when you're like trippy but beautifully shot. I'm like, Alex Garland kills it in that realm. And he's one of the last dudes that I'm like, he's unintentionally trying to make horror films. You know what I mean? But he is. I think they'll go down like in reference to that. You know what I mean? They're very all sci-fi based. Like The Arrival was the only straight sci-fi film. Did you ever see that movie with? I
haven't watched it. It's on my list. I haven't watched
Jeremy
it.
Renner. Yeah, that one's really good. That's trippy too. Beautifully shot film. It's fucking really.
I
good.
like The Void. Your boy Johnny says The Void. I just finally watched The Void, and it was another one of those movies that was very, very disturbing.
Yeah.
I feel like there's so I watched this guy named Dan Larson. He has a show called Toy Galaxy. I like toys. I don't have any more. I sold all my toys, but I like toys. And he talks about cartoons and action figures and kind of like a lot of shit from my era, the 80s. And there's a new Voltron. And I was watching it with my 2-year-old son because I want him to like everything I like so I can just live through him. That's what dads do. And when the guy was describing Voltron, I guess the guys that made this new Voltron, they said, we want to make the Voltron that we remember, not the Voltron that was. Because when you go back and watch the original Voltron, it's not very good.
No.
So they made this really badass new Voltron. And that's the way I feel about new horror. I feel like these guys are making what they imagined, not necessarily what we saw. And
that's when
there's another movie on this list that I want to. Yeah, but go ahead.
I'm all about people taking their liberties, but some people try to do so much that like I'm going to reinvent the wheel, and then you know they do it with all genres. Then you get movies like X-Men 3. You know what I mean? Or a dude's like would change the game, and then we went killed Xavier. Fuck you, dude. And the dude hasn't worked again. The dude hasn't worked since that movie because everyone went, we should fucking stone you to death, motherfucker. Like. And it was like,
well,
just stop trying to reinvent. Like, it would be beautiful and it would be new and different. Change the story on it. It's like, no, take your liberties, but come the fuck on. And now we're in an era of these resurgences that are less reboots, but they're, you know, longtime sequels. Like fucking like Halloween. The last Halloween, I loved that movie. I think it's a good film outside of being a horror film. But you know, Jamie Lee Curtis came back because even she was like, this script is fucking awesome. And John Carpenter was like, yeah. And I love that dude who did it was like, I'm not going to fucking make this movie till John Carpenter says he likes it. And then, you know, that's amazing. That never happens anymore. And so that's why I love that movie because it gives you what you wanted to see, but something new. And we're all adults now. And it's like, we can look at things in a better film context and not just like, we want something scary and violent. You know what I mean?
Oh, Brett Ratner directed Halloween. I thought what's his name did. What's the guy that I want to run and man. Rob Zombie.
Yeah, no. Ratner did the last one. Yeah, the last one with Jamie Lee Curtis. No, he did Zombie. Did,
you're talking about you're talking about Halloween H2O. You're talking about H2O?
No, the last Halloween. This is called Halloween.
I thought it was called Halloween 2. They made 2 of them.
No, there's so there's all the Halloweens. Then there's the They did H2O, which is fucking stupid, and they did with Busta Rhymes and Jamie Lee Curtis. It was goofy. Then there was a break, and then they did 2 with Rob Zombie, aka Bobby Z. And then they took a long break, and then they did the new one, which has Jamie Lee Curtis, which is a continuation of number 1.
I know which one you're talking about now.
So that's the one.
Busta Rhymes. Is that the one Busta Rhymes in, or am I thinking H2O again?
H2O is Busta Rhymes. Yo, Busta on the brain.
Look, can you please read what your dad said out loud? What? Can you please read what your dad said out loud?
Dads will make their children shake a manket, sit down with chicken nuggets and French fries, and watch Star Wars. It's true.
Then
I got there.
So I'm not a Kanye West fan of a lot of the things he says, but apparently he was on Joe Rogan and he actually had one good Star Wars take.
I heard that.
And I will preface this by saying this. So Wes, I know you don't listen to my podcast because you're a douche, but you should listen to it because I had a man on my show that wrote this leftist take on Star Wars called Welcome to the Rebellion. It's all about like grand narratives. We don't have one on the left, and Star Wars originally was a narrative for the left. And he goes into all the movies and the side movies.
Yeah.
And it's a really great book. And he's an interesting cat. He was on my show. We did 2 shows together. And when Kanye was talking about the prequels, I thought it was funny because he was like, people want to talk about the corporate Disney ones, but the prequels was about how it becomes a dictatorship.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't mind watching 2.5 hours about taxes and trade agreements. I don't.
Totally.
Because I'm that boring. But that being said, I want everyone to watch this clip of Halloween 3 because it's Halloween 3. Can we hear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mommy. Relax a minute, will you? Mr. Cochran will be here and everything will be fine. He just wants my opinion about some television commercials or something. You know, I still can't figure out why they won't take my orders for next year. You know how I like to work ahead, and well, they're just not interested at all.
Maybe they're not going to have Halloween next year.
Ha ha ha.
All right, roll it.
Look at that technology right there.
Where the computers are hella big. Oh, I love this song. I love this song.
It's time. It's time. Time for the big
Oh, this is just the
giveaway.
same old stuff.
Halloween has come. All you lucky kids with silver shamrock masks, gather round your TV set. Put on your masks and watch.
Honey, don't get too close. You'll ruin your eyes.
Jack-o'-lanterns. Gather round and watch. Watch the magic pumpkin.
I want
Watch.
that mask.
I think this whole thing is a big joke. I mean, look at that. I mean,
I thought this was creepy as shit when I first saw it. Oh, okay. So they blocked it. They might be blocking my stream. So can people still see the stream?
Yeah. Who's they?
Facebook.
Oh.
I just got a message that said something about what did it say? It said NBCU Creative Content Protection blocked your video because it may contain what does it say here? It may contain, what does it say?
I think it's fine. I mean, the stream was there, especially what I could see here. The clip was still playing.
Well, they blocked it from. I'm sharing it on a lot of different sites. They blocked it from the actual podcast site. So if you were on the podcast page, This is Revolution, you can see it at the Bitter Lake page. Bitter Lake. The band is called Bitter Lake. If they blocked it, so that sucks. You suck, Facebook, for doing that. You'll let all kind of fake ads run about Buff Bernie and fucking what other fucking dumbass ads have I seen on Facebook that aren't real? People spreading like, so like one of the fact checkers for Facebook is it's, if it's not Breitbart, it's like a Breitbart adjacent site are the fact checkers.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
It's usually just people just tuning in for 5 seconds and slapping you on the hand about something, blocking you.
Well, I hope that's all it is. They would probably ruin pumpkins for your kid.
Totally.
Like you don't understand. This poor little boy. My mom bought all these cardboard pumpkins. He just likes decorations. Like he just wants to, like the neighbor at my mom's house has the cardboard pumpkin decorations. He walks to the neighbor's house and just goes, pumpkin.
Here's the thing that when I was a kid and I watched Pumpkinhead for the first time.
Oh, Jesus.
I remember going tight and I watched it and I was like, he doesn't like a pumpkin at all. Like, that's not a pumpkin. Like, I was like, what the hell?
Have you ever watched horror movies and then like you found yourself touring in the place where the horror movie was?
Totally. You kidding me? Well, I broke down in an area that looked like the scene from Jeepers Creepers one time, and I was like, fuck all this shit. Fuck all this.
I remember
fuck you, Iowa. Like
we were in northern Louisiana, and the next night we were going to be in Texarkana. And when I got to Texarkana, like the night before northern Louisiana, I actually watched the original Town That Dreaded Sundown.
Yeah.
And so the next night we're in Texarkana, and I'm like, whatever, I don't care, it's just a movie. And then after the show, I was like, do y'all really have a festival where you guys like all watch the movie and shit? They're like, yeah, it's like a real thing here. I was like, boom.
Yeah.
Like,
you know what? You made me think of another thing that just had in reference. I remember when I first watched Django, and they roll up to the house that they see Don Johnson in. They go to that plantation, that first one. You see the front, and I go, this looks just like the house from the one in Tales from the Hood with the dolls. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Remember those all the so like I was like the pillars and what. So I remember looking at that, and that was in my head for the first like 20 minutes of that scene. I was like, I'm waiting for these little fucking things to pop out, but my memory is like the house at the front looked just like that, and for some reason that just burned into my head. I just unlocked that when you're saying like being in an area or seeing something that made you go fuck.
So apparently Facebook did take down the stream.
What?
Yeah, they took it down from the page, so I'm going to post it right here. So if you guys are watching on Facebook, you can go here and see it, because that's why the numbers kind of went down all of a sudden.
Oh shit! Yeah,
they took it down. So it's also on right now. We're streaming on Twitter, we're streaming on Twitch, and we're streaming on YouTube all at the same time. But Facebook was the one that took it down. So
should we tell people to go to YouTube? I can make a post real quick and be like,
yeah, here, let me give you the YouTube page. My feelings are hurt right now.
Post the link in the event, because they didn't take down the event, did they? Just the link.
Here. There's only like it's weird because there's a delay. There's a delay. That's so weird. I should put it up on the screen so we could watch ourselves. Fucking now you've gone into the third realm.
We're getting
so there's the YouTube link.
This shit.
There's a YouTube link. Go ahead and click that. And that's YouTube is that's the link to the stream. So I'm so hurt right now that they did that to us.
I know, this is a good time, and people seem to be liking this shit. The live
Twitch. So should I put the Twitch link up too?
Yeah, put all the links up in that thing, and
I don't know the thing too, and I gotta find the thing with the who. So I was not prepared to have to put all these links up last minute, guys. So that's why.
I just hate seeing two motherfuckers have a good time. They're hating right now.
Bam. There's the Twitch link. Also, follow me on Twitch, because apparently if you just follow me enough, then they can give me a little bit of money. And I can stop selling these nudes.
Check out my OnlyFans.
Check out my OnlyFans. I'm crying and modeling underwear.
Oh man.
What?
Did you post? Where'd you post the links?
Right here on the screen. Do you see them?
Oh yeah, in the front.
Oh, do you want me to just like give it to you?
Or just put them in the.
Here, I'll give it to you in the chat.
Yeah. I was like, because I'm gonna post them on my Facebook.
And then here's the. Here, I'm giving it to you in the chat, Wes.
I'm getting messages and they don't see it on the Bitter Lake page.
I see it.
Really?
I can't boost the video apparently.
Dumb.
But yeah.
Send me. Yeah, people are saying to send him a YouTube link.
Okay. You got the YouTube link?
What? Send it
to you?
Yes. Yeah. Did you?
Did I give it to you? No, I didn't give it to
No,
you.
you
Okay,
didn't.
sorry, everybody. Here, look. While we're doing this, why don't you guys who likes metal? Maybe you like this. Maybe you won't. I don't care. It's my show. Oh, that's the end of it. There you go.
That was perfect. That was perfect. Perfect. You like metal? Here. All right.
All right.
Shit. Top of the charts. We coming at you, rock radio.
Oh, okay. We pass pals on Twitch. Yay!
Okay.
Awesome.
Are you sending me the links?
They're on private chat. Look to your right.
Oh.
See it? There's YouTube. I give you Facebook. I give you Twitch.
Okay.
You see them on the private chat?
Yeah.
Oh, it blocked it on Bitter Lake too, apparently.
Yeah, that's because people are going, it's not on the Bitter Lake page. Let me
oh, they won't even let me submit a dispute. Dicks. Do they know how much I'm paying for this app that I can't afford? Do they understand that the whole purpose of having this app is so that we can fucking stream?
Reason.
Yeah, and the reason is not to fucking sit here and not be able to do this shit. So now I'm mad. So while we're sending you up links, here, watch this. All right.
Okay.
We're back. Do you know Jubsy?
Yes.
Okay, so that's a real person.
Yes, that was Jules from the previous post. Jules Merlini.
Okay. It actually looks like one of those people that has the picture, and you get a friend request on Facebook, and it says, "I like hot sex, dick all day. See me on cam."
I posted one that I got that it was like, my dog's dead, but all I want is sex. Look at my pussy here. And it's just a link. It was like, what? Just, my dog's dead, but all I want is sex.
Like,
you're like, you know what I mean? It was like that scene. It's like,
you're not a real person.
Like,
you can't be a real person. So I took down the okay. So porno bot, I'll take that as a comment. Well, it's just I'm not. I hope it's not an insult. I'm not trying to insult you, ma'am. It's just for some reason I feel like when I get those requests that I must be ugly. I get so many. I'm like, I thought it's because you guys liked my show. No.
Porno bot, I'll take that as a compliment.
Another movie that I enjoyed that's a remake that I think some people had problems with. I didn't. I don't know what you got from this was The Hills Have Eyes.
Yes.
I thought The Hills Have Eyes was an amazing remake because the original to me was lackluster, to say the least.
Totally. The concept was great.
Yes.
But I think the remake applied way more of a horror mentality to it. Way more suspenseful. It was I liked it a lot better.
Because like back to that whole like touring in places that you see in horror movies, we've all made that. I think there's pictures of us in the middle of a nowhere like that.
Yeah. You know what?
And
as far as remakes that scare me too, I like the two It's that came out.
I haven't seen the second one.
It's good.
But the first one, I really like the first one.
It's way more of a developmental story than the first one. But at the scares, I like horror movies. I'm not a big jump scare guy. Like if I agree. Shit, but if it's just like a regular movie and every time you close the medicine cabinet, huh, someone's behind me. Every time you open the fridge, close it, huh, there's someone behind the fridge. You know what I mean? It's like, and then lights turn off in your house. Is someone there? The guy's gonna be like, yeah, I'm here to kill you. Like, what the fuck are you gonna get? I hate shit like that. I want smart writing, and just like watching something play out scares the fuck out of me. And if it
That's why I think
was scared, I'm all about it.
That's why I think this new generation of that's why I think this new generation of people making these movies is so interesting, because I feel like, again, they're making the movies that they saw, right?
Yeah.
Like that they remember seeing. Like, go back and watch The Void. That's a combination of a lot of different scary things that it's unsettling.
Totally.
It's not just gory, it's also unsettling.
Totally.
And I feel you on liking movies that just make you feel uncomfortable.
Totally.
After
the biggest one for me that I'm absolutely obsessed with this movie. I love it. And it was one that some people liked, but it didn't hit the mark as much as I wanted it to, was It Follows. Did you see It Follows? I love that movie. It's scary. The concept is a trip. It played on the tropes of classic 80s stuff. Even the soundtrack was amazing. The moment I saw that shit, I went, fuck. And I went online and I found the soundtrack on vinyl. They only did like 1,000 copies. And I was like, boop, got it. Like, it was, everything about it was good. But I love that movie because it kind of gave you a rehash to, the 80s film, slight potential sci-fi ethereal thing. You don't really know. But without any real violence. There didn't have to be violence to be scary, and not many jumps that needed to be scary, And I like that it played into that. And it was so minimalist, but it did so much.
You just see what Pasquale said? The vague, surreal air.
Yeah. I just
if you like It Follows, did you like the movie about oh God?
I knew I was gonna say it.
What is the movie in a similar vein of It Follows, where the girl has sex with a guy at a party and she becomes a zombie, like she's rotting from the inside?
When did this come out?
Ooh, maybe 3-4 years ago.
And she's rotting.
It's a zombie movie, but the whole thing is she had unprotected sex and she's slowly rotting from the inside.
That's awesome. Who's in it?
Sarah.
Ashley, Blake.
Yeah. Oh, there's definitely a guy named Blake in it. It's white as shit.
So a bunch of no names, a bunch of like
Dead Girl. No, Dead Girl's actually, I actually really like Dead Girl. No, it's called, it's got a C in the name. I want to say no. Consent. No. Oh, this is killing me. It's not Dead Girl. Oh God. Anyway, that's a good movie. And there's a movie that actually it is really frightening to me for a number of other reasons, and I don't know if people agree with it. Compliance. Have you seen Compliance? Compliance is the true story, but it doesn't say it's McDonald's. But it was McDonald's and I believe Kentucky Fried Chickens. This guy would call and he would say that he is a cop and he's got the district manager on the phone, and that someone that works the front counter stole a wallet out of a purse, and he's got the district manager there with him on the phone, and they need to get the girl that stole the purse. And he's like, you have a blonde girl working in the front? And they're like, well, yes, I do. Is it Kathy? He's like, yeah, you need to bring Kathy to the back and you have to search her. After, I want to say like 6 or 7 hours, this girl, and this is a true story, look it up if you think I'm bullshitting, she gets stripped naked. The guy's telling the manager of the McDonald's, like, okay, so I know you don't know how to do this and we're on our way. We're just getting caught up in some stuff, but you'll have to look inside of her vagina because a lot of times they hide things there. So we're going to need you to dig in her vagina.
What the fuck?
And find this wallet that she stole. And this manager is doing all this horrible shit, and it gets to the point where they tell her to call someone to help her. She calls her boyfriend, and the voice on the phone convinces her boyfriend to screw the girl.
What?
Yeah. Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible. And he did it to a bunch of McDonald's, and I guess McDonald's ended up getting sued by the lady and the girl because they didn't send out a memo saying like they knew it was going on and they didn't really do much about it.
Yeah. Jesus.
There's a Law and Order SVU episode where Robin Williams plays the character of the man doing the same thing, but it's a real thing that happened, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that when you work a corporate job, you're so used to kind of following the orders, if you will.
Totally.
And at what point does following the orders for fear of getting fired? Because we're all afraid of getting fired. We don't have rights.
Yeah.
There was no bartenders union for you when you were at fucking.
Yeah, no.
Tell you, they weren't going to step in if somebody wanted to say something fucked up or so. To watch a movie like that, and it's just horrifying watching this young lady just get, she's like, I didn't steal, and she's like, well, the officer's on the phone with the manager right now, and all you have to do is Google who's the district manager.
That's
so now the
trip.
It's I gotta find the actual story for you, but it's rather disturbing.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Because these things are kind of commonplace. Like the guy did it so much that he finally had got caught and arrested, and he did it again.
What the fuck?
But that's the thing. It's like you're able to keep doing this horrible shit. Like people keep listening to you.
You know what's funny? It pops in my head that kind of the same thing when you're like back then. But yeah, there was no bartenders union. There was nothing to kind of protect you. But it also reminds me of being in a band where things are different now, like the movie Green Room.
Oh,
the band, you know what I mean? After them, I go, in a modern era, you post it everywhere on your Facebook and your Instagram, shit like that. So if you go missing, people are going to find you, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But we're just this punk band that's just touring. Like we put
siphoning gas.
Flyers came out in the town. So people show up, but we don't know who the fuck's going to be there, who we're playing with kind of thing. So all that shit happening to them was like, what the fuck? And that was scary as shit to be like, we're one shitty internet connection away from nobody knowing where the fuck we went. You know what I mean?
It's crazy. I watched Green Room and I just kept yelling at the screen like, I've been there. Like, I know what that's like.
Totally. I was like, God damn. I felt that way when we were on tour in some areas we played, like when we played Alabama, you know?
Yeah.
And run into some of those guys there, and they're like, I remember one time Donk was on tour, and he ran into these guys that were like, where do you play? Play that rock and roll? He's like, yeah. Like he went to a gas station. He was just like, yeah. You know, and it's just funny because we talked about it forever about running into people like that, but he had an encounter where these guys were like, you're okay as long as there's like, you know what I mean? Like, he's just like, what was he teasing about? He's like, oh, you're from San Francisco. Oh, y'all gay? It's like he's like,
yeah,
kind of thing. But it's funny being like, we're all back at the venue and go, we have a couple Mexicans, one of them's gay and a black guy on tour. We are magnets for shit. You know what I mean? Which is the worst, which could easily have been its own horror movie, the way it was set up with some of these people, where it's like, y'all aren't expecting this shit. You know what I mean? So,
again, I've had Green Room situations. Definitely in, where was I? Fayetteville, Arkansas. We actually played in the woods in a shack. There's a place I couldn't tell you the name of it off the top of my head. Maybe somebody on here has played it because there's definitely musicians on this chat. Have you guys seen Tigers Are Not Afraid? Great Mexican horror movie, sort of in the vein of Guillermo del Toro. Pretty emotionally intense, but amazing film. It's on Shudder, I believe. I haven't seen Tigers Are Not Afraid, but I heard good things about it, and it's on my list of things to see. And yes, I do consider Green Room horror.
Yeah, I think so.
What's scarier than a band playing in front of a bunch of Nazis in the woods in Portland?
You know what? The scariest thing for me is seeing Jean-Luc Picard as a Nazi.
As a Nazi? I was like, Professor X is a Nazi.
Totally. I'm like, Jean-Luc, no! You know? Like,
is he still Professor X for you, or is he Jean-Luc first?
I mean, if I really have to, it's Jean-Luc Picard for sure, because that's what I grew up with first. It was definitely knowing him from then, so much so. Okay, so when I was a kid, I watched the shit out of Star Trek Next Generation, shit out of Cheers and End of Frasier. Okay, and my brother and I, as kids, always said that we're like, yo, if they ever did like an X-Men live action movie, we'd talk about who would play who. And the two we always said were like, Kelsey Grammer has to play Beast because they sound the same in the cartoon. Like they have to. And Patrick Stewart has to be Professor X. Like that just makes too much sense. Anyone else, you're forcing it. You know what I mean? But just like from what you read in the comics to what you saw in the animated series was like, these two would be perfect. So then when it happened, oh my God, my brother and I lost our fucking minds.
I actually liked the first X-Men, and I'm excited to see what they do with this new X-Men-ish thing that they're going to roll out. Who's going to be in it?
I'm excited for.
How are they going to expand the universe?
Especially because Kevin Feige now has his hand on the wheel, and that guy's so far been doing no wrong.
No, he's been killing it.
You know what I mean? I never thought, I always said, I've never thought that I'd see someone like a filmmaker when dealing, especially at that level, that would surpass the world and the involvement of that more than George Lucas. Because George Lucas in Star Wars, like he started something and then other people ran with it. And he kind of went, oh, cool. So there's like 30 something books written about shit that he's like, oh, I never thought of it that way. But he's like, yeah, but it makes sense because he developed this world and he gave us the world. Yes, there's a linear story, but he gave us a world that people can play with it. I'm looking at Kevin Feige like he, you know, every generation is going to exceed the next. So he kind of took something of what George Lucas did by having this existing world and then putting so many moving parts, but being patient enough to put them over the course of 22 films. To do that, you know what I mean? And it's like now it's so huge, and you can come in at any avenue and you know back your favorite character, and they still will all intersect with the other characters, creating just as much of a vast world as something Star Wars had. Because I mean, the proof is in the pudding right now. Like what you're seeing with these movies, and I always, anytime I can see that happen, like I'm all about it. But it's so funny because like they announced that they're doing that Lord of the Rings series, and I'm like. This took way too fucking long for something like this to even be pitched because having the original three, I'm like, this is an expansive world. Yes, it's way more of a linear story than like Star Wars was, where it's like so many moving parts, but it's all one journey. It's very, you know, very, very linear. Then they did The Hobbit, which I'm like, had to happen. And then having Peter Jackson come back to do that, to create consistency was fucking awesome, was a great idea. But I'm like, there's so much with that world that you can do with it. And then they finally pitched a fucking series about Lord of the Rings. And I'm like, that's another expansive world that's just not really being touched.
It's going to be on Disney Plus?
No, Amazon. Amazon is putting out the Lord of the Rings show about like this ranger and some elvish characters. And it's just, yeah. So that they're going to be touching base with that world. And I don't necessarily know. I don't remember what time it's going to be. I think it's like before the movies. But I mean, that's just one of those things. I mean, it worked, you know, Rogue One was perfect proof of that. Like filling in the gap of those two time periods and going that far back just made sense to kind of fill that gap. Because, and it's, my brother always says, he goes, Rogue One is the greatest fan film ever made. Yes. It totally is.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So much fan service in that movie. And
but that's when you I should link it, the episode I have with the gentleman Dr. Michael Harris that wrote this book, Welcome to the Rebellion, because he has some very interesting takes on Rogue One as well as Solo, to the point where I went back and watched Solo.
I like Solo, by the way.
I thought it was good, and after reading the book I definitely liked it even more, because one thing that he talks about that I don't know if you and your friends talk about this, but one of the questions in the book is, and you know, use this for real life as well, if we want to compare Star Wars, right, and use it as a narrative, a grand narrative. If you blew up the Death Star in Return of the Jedi and you won, why do you get the First Order in these new movies, which would be 30 years later?
Yeah.
And one of the themes in these movies that are kind of untalked about, and this is definitely like a deep dive nerd shit, is a return to normal. And if you think about normal during Star Wars, you have massive inequality and literal slavery in the outer rims.
Yeah.
Han Solo's a slave where he's from. Luke Skywalker, for the most part, he's not a slave, but there's inequality. Then you go to these new movies. Jakku is this kind of nowhere planet where Rey is a slave.
A slave-driven planet. It's just, it's just, yeah.
So we have these high levels of inequality that never really got resolved, because much like we see today in politics, people want to return to normal. So you blow up the Death Star, you get rid of the Empire, you have this Senate, but you never had equality built in. That was never part of your platform. Your platform was,
there's always going to be opposition, and
rid of the Empire.
They needed to create some type of villain for that, for Star Wars. But the thing is, though, is that the way how I first looked at it, and from Force Awakens, I was like, so did the New Order come into power from being their own rebellion? You know what I mean? Like, and so, which is interesting to kind of go, well, how the fuck did they even come back, and how did we, as a, if you see yourself as part of, the rebels, I guess, essentially. Like, how did you let that happen? How did it come into be? Especially being that First Order's against the Senate, against the rebellions. You know what I mean? It's like, how the fuck did it let a thing that was 3 times bigger than that motherfucker?
That's the thing. If let's say elections next week, let's say Joe Biden beats Donald Trump. What do you think you get after 4 flaccid years of Joe Biden? You get you're going to get something with an ideology.
Totally.
Unlike Donald Trump, and you're going to get something much more vile, and you'll get real fascism. You'll get more Stephen Miller.
Yeah.
You'll less talk show hosts. You'll get the real deal. And I think when you look at the First Order, if you will, there's no making of clones anymore. It's like, no, we're just going to fucking snatch kids up.
Yeah.
And give them no names.
Yeah.
Like, we are full on fash.
Totally.
And you're going to deal with full on fash.
Totally.
And there's something to be said about that parallel, especially again when you look at the inequalities that existed in the universe before the Empire takes over. So that's the importance of the prequels. The prequels are telling us that there is inequality in the universe when there is a Senate.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's so linear. When Palpatine comes into the Senate and comes out, I'm also the Emperor. Very exemplary to what we're at now. You know what I mean? It's like,
Trump is Grievous.
Yeah.
And Biden is Palpatine.
And honestly, especially, I think either way, but I says more so if Trump wins, we're getting a war like Return of the Jedi. You know what I mean? There's going to be an inevitable civil war that will be. Now we've already tested the waters with using violence as a means of communicating our dissatisfaction and fear through things. So now if we have a unifying reason, which it's been, the people at the top's fault for creating such a dividing line, that now we've given people a reason to have that wall of death type fucking, you know what I mean?
Full fash.
And that's
you're gonna get full fash, all the time. Because if you go back and watch those movies, you kind of have a bit of an inept Senate, if you will. So the whole thing about the first movies is how a nation becomes fascist, or how you fall to fascism.
Yeah.
And the most current episode I have up talks about kind of the 4 tenets of neoliberalism, and one of them is trade agreements and hegemony. And the U.S. is real big on trade agreements and hegemony. And when you have people in power that don't really do much when it comes to those trade agreements, like right now we're still talking about China like it's 1984, and Red Dawn's going to happen. Like, that shit isn't real.
Yeah.
But
now, how interesting would it be if it did?
I mean, look, I don't know how much all around news you watch, but one person tested positive in a small province in China, and the government came in and tested everyone in the state in a matter of days.
Yeah.
And they quarantined the one person that was asymptomatic, and they're like, hey, why don't we just knock out this problem so a bunch of people don't die? Yeah. I talked to a good friend of mine. He called me, that lives in Florida, and he's like, motherfuckers is walking around with no mask, and they want to open up the schools.
Yeah.
and people are like dying around him.
Totally.
Like, that's
you know what? All this being said too, now I'm kind of thinking it too, is there's always been issues, and they've gotten progressively worse, whether people want to admit it or not. Obviously, we've kind of hit this precipice, but there's always at least some sense of escapism that you go, the disruption of life, and all that has been taken away. Like the little things that made me sane about, like I'm always gonna be pissed off about shit, and but now that I can't do the things that were therapeutic to me to reside that anger, like touring and like going to the movies. Like I go to the movies by myself and I love it. I'll go to the store, I'll pick up a small bottle of whiskey, I'll pick up a fucking burrito, and I'll go and I go, I'm watching 3 movies straight, and I am I might as well be getting like a blowjob on prom night. You know what I mean? I am pumped for that kind of shit. I love it. But that's the shit that kind of sets me straight and goes, be upset, gather your thoughts, but don't let it just fester, And then now we all are kind of forced to stay in a bubble where it's like, no, think about it. Let it get you angry. Let it do this. And it's like, and some people can handle it properly. And that's what we've been seeing with some of the protests and organizations. And some people just go, God, fucking burn everything. I'm going to rob my neighbors. You're like, that? What the fuck? So it's
there's a lot of truth to that, because I think a lot of what we saw with the protests, especially the first wave of George Floyd protests, I think a lot of that had to do with a reaction to Trump and the way he kind of didn't even pay the vague lip service that we got with Obama, with the feel your pain language and no action, and being locked in your house. It's one thing, like, think about this for a second. Trayvon Martin was pretty horrible when that kid died. And our president at the time, who I'm not the biggest fan of, Barack Obama, comes out and tells a story about how he could have been Trayvon, yada, yada. And we don't get protests to the level, we get Black Lives Matter, but we don't get protests to the level that we saw with George Floyd. George Floyd was such a unifying moment that you had people protesting in Palestine, in France, all over the UK, like John Boyega to our Star Wars point. I was in tears listening to him talk about how he felt protesting in the UK. That's, to me, is a reaction to what we're talking about, like where we are today with this really bad leadership that can't even pay the bullshit lip service that we're so used to getting from our politicians.
Totally.
And it's bipartisan, they're good at it. They're supposed to be good at it.
Yeah.
And this guy isn't even good at it. He's like, well, I'm good at being a wrestling type heel.
Totally.
And I'm good. And I'm going to be a wrestling heel because that's kind of my shtick. And it got me this far.
Yeah.
And he's not stopping. And even though, like, when he said, and I might get shit on for this, when he said that whole Charlottesville thing, which was horrible, when he was like, there's very nice people on both sides.
Oh, God.
I honestly believe that he had no idea what he was saying, because that's what people like him say.
Oh,
you're rich.
Totally.
You're rich, and you don't really. You're like, what? There's poor.
I agree with you because I've never seen a man so uninformed about things that people go, "What about this?" And he goes, "I don't know much about that." I go, "You're the fucking president. Like, there's just basic knowledge. So much because like." Well, we could text each other and go, you hear this shit? And like, nobody does that to him. Like, nobody wants to talk to him that bad that nobody will just send him a fucking text message like, hey, yo, crazy shit over here. And he's like, oh, wow, that is crazy. But it doesn't happen. He never knows what's going on. So, yeah, so I believe I agree with you when he's like, he probably doesn't register the concept of that. You know what I mean?
No.
Like when he
tweeted
the video of the people yelling white power, but all he saw was people like holding Trump signs. So he goes, look at these supporters. And they're like, do you realize that you posted what was happening? I'm willing to bet that he didn't even click the fucking video.
No,
you know what I mean?
He's so kind of devoid of any sort of like deep thought
that
he, to me, is the epitome of the YouTube researcher. Like, how many people have you had a conversation with? And I know, and you would, and I will, let me say this: Wes is not the controversy guy when it comes to politics. He's a controversy guy when it comes to like movies and like music. Like he'll have the
most things, but I'm not the politics.
He's not gonna try to. That's just not his bag. Not that he doesn't think about it. It's just he doesn't want to stoke certain fires.
Yeah, I mean, I have my opinions about things, but it's never. I might get shit for this. It's like I'm aware of that of the world politics, but I've never been a very political person because in the end, I have such kind of a cynical take on things. I'm kind of like today's gonna suck either way. You know what I mean, kind of thing. So I'm like, I take it with a grain of salt, and some things if I can be involved in, I will. But it's just like.
But how much do you hate when people say, I've done my research? It's like, look, man, YouTube University doesn't count.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So, like, so it's, my thing is that I'm always at like a ground level. Like, people go, oh, there's these things going on in these countries. It's happening. I go, yeah, I'm aware of it. But right now, I want to take care of my mom. I want to make sure my brother's alive. I want to make sure my nieces are okay. I'm going to take care. I focus on that. And that's always just naturally where I've gravitated towards. And so I'm aware of it. So I use that information. Because I've done my research, but but it's just like that's just how a person I've been. Like I'll be quicker to say something fucked up or something controversial to somebody that I shouldn't, but to their face, not like here's my soapbox and I'm going to tell you my opinions and anything challenging me makes you an idiot. Like I just can't see.
I can't stand the researchers. The YouTube researchers just irritate the bejesus out of me. So the last movie that we're going to share tonight is one of my favorites. And I feel like a lot of people, it's not that high on their list. It's high on mine because it came out, the year I graduated high school in the year of our Lord, 1995. And it's taken a while to load for some reason. I don't know why. It's making me mad. Oh, come on. You got to load now. Everything is stopping on me. Okay, here we go. Can you see it?
No. Fuck yes.
Oh no!
I thought the most interesting thing in the
you are not supposed to talk, sir,
because David Alan Grier was basically doing comedy, and he did a very, very serious role. And I remember one of the things.
David Alan Grier did do a great job in that movie because when he beat the shit out of Paula Jai Parker and then started slapping that little boy, and the way he was talking shit was hilarious. But Tales from the Hood for me,
dude,
I was super stoked about it because it was supposed to be like this black horror movie that wasn't an exploitation film.
Yeah.
Because remember, before all that, we have like Blackula and all this other shit.
Oh God, I was talking about those films the other day.
And I can also say, I thought Candyman.
I loved Candyman.
But someone brought this up, and I can't remember. It was a documentary I saw, a horror noir on Amazon. They talk about this. They're like, someone white had to have written Candyman because why the hell would a slave come back and kill black people on the project?
That's fucking valid. Fucking.
I was like, oh, good point. But Tales from the Hood, I love anthologies.
Me too.
Like Trick or Treat.
Yeah.
That anthology. There's Tales from Halloween. So in movies I've just recently seen, Tales from Halloween is another anthology. You know what? Series that's actually pretty.
The last line in Tales from the Hood, by the way, is my favorite thing from probably any movie. Welcome to hell, motherfuckers. I was like, yeah, best shit ever, dude. Like, that is my favorite.
No, I think Tales from the Hood is fucking genius. Rusty Cundiff that did Tales from the Hood. He also did what movie did he do? This is killing me. What other movie did Rusty Cundiff do? He wrote a lot with Chappelle, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, but fuck, he did Tales from the Hood 2, which was like
Yeah, you know what? I think I only gave that like a 1 through kind of thing.
The little puppets were very cool.
Yeah.
There's a Tales from the Hood 3, and I watched.
Is it really? I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah, the dude from Candyman's in it. Candyman, and what's the other one? Final Destination.
Okay.
It's okay. It's, I don't know. Tales from the Hood. Again, this is 1995. The first story where the guy is a cop and he sees the other dude get killed and he has to get revenge. I thought that was like,
I think too, a lot of the classic, like the small sect of blaxploitation horror films were so crazy. I loved them because it was so weird. It was like them just going, white people are doing weird shit, so we're gonna fucking like, okay, have you ever Googled space movie from 1992?
No.
Just Google, bring up your Google and type in space movie from 1992. Watch what pops up. Real movie, and I've seen it.
1922?
1992.
Something from 1922 just popped up.
Space movie from 1992. That's what you type in.
Oh my God.
Real movie.
It says not for kids.
You think?
But unfortunately, I can't. It's someone talking about it, so I don't want to show it.
Yeah.
I was trying to find like a clip from it, but there's no clip. I have to dig deeper.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna have to see that. So you know how after, speaking of George Floyd, after the whole George Floyd shit and the world kind of blew up, all these companies started taking advantage of your sympathies and going, in this time of black.
Fucking couldn't watch TV a couple weeks because of that kind of shit. Like,
and Netflix, you turn on Netflix,
buy a car. You're like, the fuck?
They just beat the shit out of Jason yesterday. You want me to buy it?
You're just like, what is going on?
But it's got heated seats, huh?
Weird. Check out weird.
But you know how like Netflix and Amazon are like, black for the black person that
HBO too.
Yeah, so everybody has like a black thing now, and they have these black horror movies on Shudder, I believe. If it's not Shudder, then it's Amazon. And some of those black horror movies were actually like really arty movies that just didn't get the love. And since they're not exploitive, they're not kind of pop culture trash.
Totally, yeah.
So if you go down that rabbit hole, there's some interesting ones that you can find.
Think about it, like that's why any Americanized colored people like don't have, you have to like stick within your shtick kind of thing, or else it wasn't interesting. Like I can't. I'm really trying to think of like a Latino antagonist from a horror film. Like
there's Barrio Tales.
See, I don't think I've seen that.
Barrio Tales.
The most tragic, scary antagonist to me, who's Mexican, is Gabriel Iglesias. Like, you know what I mean? Like George Lopez is terrifying. That people think that guy's still funny. Like he, you know what I mean? Like him as a person is a horror show. So fuck him. Fuck Fluffy. Like no. I hate
Guillermo del Toro did such a great job.
Amazing.
I think at making these movies, and to your point, he's making animated shows for Netflix, and they take place in Southern California, and they have Latin characters that are kind of main characters, if you will.
Yeah.
But it's not done in that way that it feels like, look, I threw this token in.
Totally. Well, that's how I feel about
so you're
Pan's Labyrinth. Pan's Labyrinth being an American mainstream movie that was all regarding an actual period, you know, in Hispanic culture, and all in Spanish. It was fantasy, but there were a lot of horror elements. Like the guy, the fucking hand guy, still identified as like one of the craziest creatures in the movie. You know what I mean?
To this day.
That was amazing. I love that creature. I love what he did with those movies, but there's not many, you know?
No, because I think we also live in this world where I have to try to commodify your ethnicity.
Totally.
And if I can't find a hip way to commodify, and then it also becomes like super homogenized, these stories. Totally. So you either get Barrio Tales, where there's a part where they're shooting the zombie character with their guns. All the cholos are shooting the other zombie, the Mexican zombie, and he's like break dancing with all the shots, and they think it's funny. So they're just like,
the fuck? He's just popping.
yeah. I'm not. I wish.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna look up
I also know
Barrio.
why he said Barrio Tales.
It made a sequel to Barrio
I ate a
Tales.
burrito with
Apparently.
some jalapenos and.
One of the parts of it is like there's a taco truck that's everyone's favorite taco truck, but apparently they use real human meat because we didn't see that one coming.
Jesus. See, that's all the movies like Machete that kind of were self-aware that it was. So Robert Rodriguez is like, I wanted to make the first real good Mexploitation film. I was like, yeah, that shit's hilarious. So goofy.
I gotta find. So every time I look up Barrio Tales, you actually go down a really frightening rabbit hole of things that aren't Barrio Tales.
I bet. What's the scarier?
So here I found the trailer to Barrio Tales. So we will watch the trailer. So for everyone that isn't Latin, deal with it. You are gonna get fucking some real deal shit. I got the shit. Here we go. Barrio Tales coming at you.
Drive down.
Hola, amigo.
Listen, we're looking for a dude named Pedro. Do you know who he is?
Pedro?
Yeah.
I know him well. I will go right to him.
What the fuck?
There's a story of rich kids, like yourselves, who decided to disrespect someone from Barrio. Someone who helped them. Someone innocent who never, ever did anything wrong except work for a living.
Who the fuck's a Spanish soap star in the bathroom?
That is the new maid Maria.
My friend Theo, he made the best tacos north of Barrio.
Theo's Tacos is now open for lunch. How do you like my tacos today? You rusty? I had a little something extra. I'll tell you my secret if you help me prepare for tomorrow's lunch. So any takers?
They say a monster still lurks in this very area in search for vengeance. He was once the most feared Mexican killer of them all. Until one day, some Mexicans killed his family.
What?
So that's a real movie.
God.
Imagine if they found a real Latino actor for that part.
They all had enough self-respect.
Barrio Tales is on Netflix, I believe. So don't watch it.
Yeah.
No, go watch it. Go watch it and then send me a message.
Even if movies are bad, like I have so many people that are like, this movie sucks. This movie sucks. This movie sucks. Kind of thing. I've had so many conversations where people go, have you seen it? They go, well, no, the preview just looks stupid. I'm like,
yeah,
shut the fuck up. I'm big. Like, I'll watch a movie even if I know it's going to be bad. So that at least I know now why it's bad. You know what I mean? Like
that one is bad because it's just a bunch of tropes. So it's just like the first one is the maid gets fucked with by these ultra rich people. The second one is the guy's making like human kids out of tacos. There was a horror movie that actually dealt with, and I can't remember if it was a Black Mirror or something similar to it, where maybe it was what's his name's New Twilight Zone, where all these illegal immigrants were getting snatched up. And it was like really frightening to watch. And I want to say it might have been maybe one of the new Twilight Zones.
It sounds familiar.
It's stuff like that to me is a little more frightening because that one actually kind of took you a little more on the journey to give you some context to it. Because when you don't have context to these stories, like if there's just a chick that's a maid, then you make up in your mind why she's there. Like,
yeah,
she's just poor from a poor country and she just wants a leg up and these people are being mean. And if she didn't have mean ones, then everything would be fine. And it's like, well, it's deeper than that, and it's not that simple. And you know, then the last one is like people trying to the last one, and I will spoil it because fuck it. It's this dude that's like a Mexican killer, like they said, and then there's kind of like a Mexican, I don't want to say Avengers, but like an avenging team of Mexican dudes that stop white dudes that want to stop Mexican dudes.
Yeah, I grew up with dudes like that.
You're like, it's called my dad.
Yeah, it's called growing up in LA. It's called the Mexican kid that moved to Danville. Like
almost as sick. So my mom chimed in about street trash. I'm glad you're chiming in now because I spent the first hour talking about your parenting.
Yeah.
But it only in a good way. And on that note, I think we should probably sign off.
Okay.
We've been talking shit for like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, that's fun. I can do this.
And because of the Facebook taking shit down, we lost a few heads, and that makes me sad.
Yeah.
My mom says, "Oh yeah, you missed Phoenix. You missed it all." But go add my mom on Facebook. She's not very exciting, but you can ask her about showing her child a very suspect movie at the age of 12.
That's so fun.
So, Wes, is there anything you want to shout out before we go?
Yeah, a few things, I guess. Well, one, we should do this again because I feel like this is definitely a part one of a conversation that we could be going down the rabbit hole for. So we should.
I'm agreeing with that.
Totally do it again. Two, follow my stuff, facebook.com/NAMEBand. I also have a side project, or we have an EP coming out before the end of the year from a group I have called Future Wife. So check that out. That'll be released digitally everywhere through Wolves Recordings, my label. So you can add that on Facebook, facebook.com/futurewife, but all the U's are V's. So it's FVTVREWIFE, Future Wife.
Oh, you're so. What's the word for that?
Cult. KVLT.
Douche.
I wanted to make something that was at least decently easier to Google than name, you know. So Future Wife. That's I have that coming out, EP coming up before the end of the year. Some like sad ambient stuff that I'm working with my buddy Travis Von Cartier. Actually, another big one that let me find the link here. I want to, if you can say something about this. A very good friend of ours, Jake Whitlock, is going through a series of medical issues, and he had past year. Oh yeah, you haven't seen that?
No.
Yeah, so he I've been with him for a while. He was tour drumming with us, and then he got really sick. Went through a long battle, kind of climbed back, and so he's been okay. But as of recent, things have been failing, so he needs a new liver.
Jesus. Is it COVID?
He got on the list, and he got called in this morning to UCSF for a liver transplant. He is still waiting in line, but they're prepping him for surgery at any minute, which sucks because I'd be there with him if I could. Because of COVID, we can't be in the hospital. But they're going to fix a whole bunch of him because like his gallbladder is down and liver's shot. So he needs this to survive. And they said the only way that he can maintain that is in the healing process, that for the first 7 months, he's pretty much going to be seeing finances ranging up to 10 grand a month in treatment and medication. So there has been, provided by his family, there has been a GoFundMe for Jake. So if anyone wants to either read the story or could support and check it out, it's GoFundMe.com/healingforjake. So yeah, that's a really big one that we want to that I really want to push because it's a scary situation.
Is it the word for or the number 4?
The word for Healing for Jake Whitlock, I believe. Let me look at the actual. There's like I don't know. They don't make it this shit easy to fucking look up the actual thing.
I got it up on the screen.
You got it? Okay. Yeah. And
I also am a good friend. Well, I haven't seen Jake in a few years, but last time I saw Jake is playing a show with you.
Yeah.
And friend of mine, So I'm sad to hear this news because I fucking love Jake to death. He's a wonderful human being.
Yes, he is.
The world is a better place with him in it. So
totally. So if anyone at least go check that out, it'll be all over the band pages and Twitters and my personal Facebook and stuff. And yeah, he just needs some help, and it's not easy for him to ask. It's really not easy for any of us to really, you know what I mean? Like, we've been on the road and we've done this kind of thing, but it's not as easy just to look at somebody and say, hey, I need help, you know?
Well, it's sad because this is the world we live in where GoFundMe is how people are paying their medical bills.
Totally.
I've donated to 2 or 3 friends that are artists or musicians for, like, I'm talking like chemotherapy and serious surgeries. So
yeah, and this is, it shows the kind of state we're in too. It's like he owns a restaurant out here. He's a restaurant owner and chef professionally and making money doing that thing, but it's still like it's still so expensive and unrealistic for him, even with insurance. Even it's still so unrealistic for him to be able to handle this himself. It's just a sign of the times, and it's so sad to see that too. It's like, doesn't matter where you're at, you know, like no one's really untouchable. And he's young, man. He's what, 33? So 34. And that's just, shouldn't be happening to him. So that's a big one we want to put out for him because.
And he recorded with Adam D from Killswitch.
Yeah. he's a great drummer. He's a great chef. He's a fucking funny dude. He's a good person. He's one of my best friends on the planet. And Jay and I both love him very much. So if you could check that out at least, or at least share the link.
I have the links up and I'm going to share it. And I'm, again, sorry to hear about that. And Jake, I hope everything works out. Keep me informed on it, Wes.
I for sure will. I'll send you all the info and stuff like that too.
And I'm going to share a surprise page as we log off. I think you'll be very happy with what I have here. So thank you guys for watching. I will be back on election night. I'm trying to get Dr. Torrey Reed and Dr. Cedric Johnson because I want the smartest light-skinned black people I could possibly find to watch the election with. I told them that. They both chuckled. So I'm just waiting to see if it works out in their schedules. They're still teaching. David Griscom show is coming up next on the This is Revolution podcast. So check that out, 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Wednesdays and Sundays, new shows. Other than that, check out what we have here. We'll be sharing Wes's band N.A.M.E playing from, it looks like some sort of festival. He didn't tell me about it.
The what? Oh, the live stream?
Yep.
Yeah, we played a live stream fest for charity. The only time we could ever get together during all this happening, so it was kind of cool. We had to cancel tours. Well, okay, so we also have another thing, I guess another announcement too, is that it's been kind of loose, but we're doing the 10-year anniversary release of the first record, Internet Killed the Audio Star. And it will be pressed on vinyl, and we'll release the label and all this stuff soon about it and all what we're doing with it, because it's going to be some new artwork and stuff like that. So,
wow, 10 years.
Yeah,
we were living together when that was coming out.
Yep.
And my name is on the liner notes.
Yes, it is.
Because while on tour trying to pack the van, Wes said we should probably take a picture of this. And looking at how we got everything in, I remember saying, well, you know, it's tighter than it looks. And I proceeded to say a lot of other things that sounded very, as the young people say, sus on the whole tour. Like every time my mouth opened, something even worse than the last thing would come out of my mouth. But definitely
subtle slide, one liner.
But definitely yelling out with confidence that it was tighter than it looked.
Yes. Yes.
But let's leave with N.A.M.E. Do you know the song that you're playing?
If you're playing that live stream, we played a song off the first record that we hadn't played in many, many years called Empathic Communicator, but we played all 4 parts. So yeah, the whole thing's on our Facebook too, and on YouTube at Wolves Recordings. But yeah, it's all 4 songs as one. We play them all together.
So they played one song and left.
Played one.
Like
we played what our set was one like 22-minute long song, and then we went.
They pulled asleep. They're like, "This is what you get."
For sure. Yeah,
All right, let's watch this. Here we go, and we are gonna watch this.